right there.
It's, of course, this is the moment when I switch over. That's when a jet is just going overhead, and I'm just looking at my audio bars going, yep, nope, that's a jet noise.
Yeah, just pain. Well, it didn't pick up on Discord anyway. Alrighty. Hello, though. It's What's Up, everybody.
Hello.
I would love to inform you right now that, as you might expect, the moment Lucky said, all right, we're going to switch over, I'm like, oh, I feel like I have to cough a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, some of you may be well, okay. Maybe I need this moment to pass before I do some shilling. Hey, everybody, welcome to Final Fantasy 16. Here it is. This.
Ugh. Emotional damage.
Yeah. Damn.
Clive, he's breathing.
Yeah, people are all over the place in Final Fantasy 16.
I mean, if you guys want me to switch over, I am also playing Divinity 2 right now and hanging out with Flaming Pigs.
I mean, we're probably going to spend a lot of time talking about 16 anyway, some of which may involve some early phase spoilers, so, you know, it may just be better for people to follow the flow of conversation as well. But a lot of people are all over the place. This is, gosh, I think, I'm pretty sure. Everything in 16 is a blur to me. I have, like, no idea when this game will end. I think I'm, like, 45 hours in, and trophy tracking-wise, the PlayStation says I'm, like, 56% done.
Jeez.
Like through the process. Okay, so your Legendary's working towards the point of no return.
The point of no return.
The game doesn't phrase it this way, but it was in the marketing material, so I feel comfortable saying that's a second time skip.
Mm-hmm.
They said you were gonna in trailers and preview materials, you're gonna see Clive at 3 sections of his life. So that point of no return bit is time skip 2. Which is really interesting. In general, I think I can say without spoilering, Final Fantasy 16 really likes small time skips. I can't tell you guys how many times I have done like a side quest or a main quest or something, and there's been a beat, and then there's just fade to black sometime later, and we just get back into it. Like, the game does this really good use of kind of these senses of time and the passage of time and stuff going back and forth, and just how much hecking work you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's not gonna ruin your experience to know that, hey, you're gonna see 30-year-old Clive. Listen, your work takes a lot of time, a lot of working.
Well then, Legendary Boss Hunter, if you don't want to know things, you should go. I was kind of expecting what you're expecting out of, you know, us having a stream with, you know, Final Fantasy 16 in it.
Also, I did say, by the way, we're going to talk about 16, so. I am kind of that the idea that there are people who are playing this game who didn't see any of the promo, like, I don't know, it shocks me. I know the game is doing pretty well. It made over 3 million sales in the first week, which is pretty decent. So, you know, there's, you know, a lot of stuff like that. I mean, some people do name their kid Cole, but that doesn't matter because we're in the old fantasy times.
I remember Cole from Gears of War.
You know, there's a Cole, there's a Gav, but there's also people like Hortense and Tarja. That's with a J. Don't call her Tarja. I think you'll eat a scalpel.
Probably.
Sorry, I'm in the middle of killing a bajillion Bell Lamus in a memorial quest. I have to push buttons. All right. But yes, Final Fantasy the 16. Again, it's doing very well. For like a pure PS5 exclusive, it has done the best so far, and it's still like pretty good up there for like, you know, where Final Fantasy VII Remake was for like their first week of sales. That was a little over 3 million, but still like doing very strong, which is good. And it personally, I'll phrase it this way. I don't think you really need to qualify anything about this game. This game is just good. It's a good game. But there
What the
may
fuck
be
is that?
people out there on the internet who want to take some cracks at you and have some unfortunate, oh hey, yeah, you're gonna meet your first boy.
Oh, it's a hunt.
Yeah, it's your first. This is the one that sets up the hunt board. Ariman, rank C. This guy's fun. But yeah, notorious marks. But yeah, so like there are people, unfortunately, yeah. What is the anime saying? They'll be added to the list. There are people out there who are unfortunately taking potshots at Final Fantasy 16 for, as far as I can tell, no other reason than people really like it. There are people who like this game that will not be dissuaded that the game is good. And so, I don't know. Like I said, I feel like for some people there is this...
Ooh, laser.
Much like how we, you feel the need if you don't like something to try and justify that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thanks, Torkel. People always are trying to find, like, objective things wrong with media or find moral failings in their creators because it no longer suffices in our weird post-Cinema Sins world to go, yeah, I just don't like this thing. It just didn't vibe with me. Also, if you don't like a thing that lots of other people like, because as I said, like 3 million people have bought this game. And that was just the stat they reported a couple days ago. Those numbers are going to continue to go up, I think, over time. But, like, there's this need to, like, explain what's quote-unquote wrong with Final Fantasy 16. And... Mark talked about some people do like to hit back after their thing is dissed. That does happen, but I don't really see a lot of people doing that in Final Fantasy 16 other than people just going like, "Oh, hey, I read this review and it's just I don't know what they're talking about." I've been playing this game and I don't understand what this person is saying, kind of a thing, right? So, yeah, I don't really see people saying, like, if you don't like Final Fantasy 16, you're a bad person. I don't actually see a lot of that. It's mostly just like, yeah, I don't really understand what people are doing when they take these shots. Actually, before I go any further, as Lucky continues to punch Armon, I would like to remind everybody this episode is brought to you by our patrons. It's a new month, good patron time. Patrons include Adam DeHart, Blackest OG, Call Me Zed, Carlos, Dragon, Ferris, Fight This Iceberg, Jeremy Vasquez, JDV 9000, Justin Fage, Jonathan Sandoval, Chris Starlight, Legendary Boss Hunter, Liam Kessler, Region Raptor, Rise of Kenji, Rogue Robin, Charvor, Sean Pyre, some guy named Bob Anver, and The Crow. And we thank you very much for your support. If you want to see us do more, consider supporting us on Patreon. But yeah, like this was a discussion that came up in our Discord recently, and I think I brought it up last week as well. I want to say I think there is merit in picking up a game, playing it a little bit, and being like, nah, it's just not for me, right? Like, honestly, I think our discourse would be a lot better if more people just admitted things are not for them and stopped trying to make things for them because the things that are for you that exist already. Guys, trust me. You want to play a turn-based RPG? Trust me, there's a lot of those. Please buy them. So, like, if I think I said last week, I don't understand how somebody could play the demo. Yeah, Clive's got some great one-liners. But I don't understand how somebody could play the demo for this game and then not be sucked in. But if you weren't, you should stop playing the game and move on with your life. And I don't think people should feel the need to, like, critically analyze why they didn't like the game in the demo, because if you've only played the fucking demo, that's like the first 2 hours of this game. You know nothing, Jon Snow. Yeah, Martha, it is very similar to giving anime episodes the 3-episode rule. Very classic. Read a couple chapters at the front of a book, whatever works for you as your metric. Baby's first burial service. I believe I said on Twitter when that was working that you can tell this game was written by some of the same people who wrote Final Fantasy XIV, because this is not the only time I can make that joke about burying people.
It's more than they deserve.
It is a thing that happens
Go back.
more than once. You know, the old adage about a quarter.
All right, return to Martha's Rest. Let's go.
Good old Martha's Rest.
I will run there.
But yeah, like, I don't want to say this game is perfect. I've noticed a couple of things. We've even talked about some stuff like on our Discord and other places about some things that aren't perfect about the game. One kind of I don't want to call it a point of contention because most of us just move past it like reasonable adults. But the general consensus among the people who are decently far into this game is that the QTE commands are a little weird. You have quite a long time to do them, at least in default of the game, and at the very least, when you're doing them, especially when you're doing clashes, the graphics are a little big, kind of get in the way.
Mhm.
I'm
lost.
It's not really a problem, but just the way the game does maps is a little weird. I think Aaron actually caught this really early, but whenever you're in like a one-time dungeon, you don't have a local map.
Mm-hmm.
And while I do occasionally get turned around, the push button for Torgal's Animal Instincts works pretty well to just be like, no, go this way, dummy. Torgal is even smart enough to go like, hey, your icon says go over there, but there's like some shit in your way. You got to go around. Like Torgal will stand next to the thing you got to touch and like bark, But you do have the local map for repeatable like field areas, and it's all right. Like because it's on the PS5 and the SSD, everything loads really fast. It is still kind of odd to me that we have this geometry, and I feel like I'm looking at the UI right now. There's space in open fields, maybe not in boss battles, but there's space for a mini map in this screen. But they just decided not to do it, and I'm not sure why. It doesn't like hurt it, but it also is just strange. I also kind of wish there was just a button to press for Clive to sprint. Like I know Clive eventually sprints on his own; he can go going pretty fast, but it's one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, there's a little bit of wind up to that. I don't know why. You do eventually unlock the Chocobo, but that's like technically, if you want to actually get out your Chocobo, that is slower than just waiting for Clive to decide to sprint, because you have to push a button to summon Chocobo and then push in a button to get on Chocobo. And so, like, again, it's not bad. It's just there's a couple of oddball things. That said, I was gonna say, just thinking about this, I'm like, so yeah, I don't know if, I might call it a 9 out of 10 game, and I'm like, I don't know, I might call it a 10 out of 10 game anyway. Fuck you, the game's fine, it's great, I love it. I don't know at this point in the game if Lucky would have seen these quests, but there are a couple of plus type side quests, which have actual quality of life shit you need that require you to go on hunts.
Mm-hmm.
They will put a quest marker to be like, check the hunt board for the whereabouts of the blah, blah, blah. When you do that, because there's no, like, you've only just unlocked them, so you don't know yet, but I'll tell you. There's no, like, push button to accept hunt. You just look at the board tells you where the guy is, you go there, the guy's there.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, your quest marker stays back at the hideout telling you to go check the hunt board, even after you've already looked up where the hunt is. And it will stay that way until you just go to where the hunt is and find them. And I'm like, that's a little weird. I could see, like, if you put the game down for, like, a day, you called it a day and get up the next day, you might be like, oh, yeah, what the fuck was I doing? Like, it's not... None of my issues with this game are serious drawbacks. And I'm curious if in your time you've come across anything other than, I know you've said your statements about cinematic clashes, if there's anything that, like, doesn't seem perfect to you.
I mean, there's plenty of things that don't seem perfect to me.
Yeah, but it's solid.
It's solid. Like, everything that I have a quibble with is something that I think is more an issue with my personal preferences rather than an actual flaw of the game. Because everyone likes different things in their video games, and no matter what people may think or want, like, a game can't give everyone everything.
Yep.
But let me pull up something here. So, like here in abilities. So we all know that this was, made by the combat director was done by can I can't whip out my sword here. Oh hey look, there's a plus. There's a plus.
Oh yeah.
Neat.
Which one is this? Oh, I remember this. Do you want to know what it unlocks, or you want to just find out for yourself?
The White Winged Wonder. Oh, white wings by a chocobo, dude. Can it be?
Yeah. By the way, if you don't know, chat, if you are somehow still earlier in the game and are still watching, plus side quests are actually important. They unlock new shit.
White heart.
This one will do something that we'll find out in a second. But also there are side quests later that improve your consumables. They heal more. And your passives like Stone Skin and whatever the strength one is called, Strength Tonic, last longer. There's one later to improve your inventory size, so you can carry more. So, like, they're very important. And then my lucky through this cutscene, I'll go back to ask Gabe what he was going to show us, but he was sidelined by Chocobo.
I love chocobos. You know what's a better name for a chocobo? Ambrosia. Let's go.
Also, Omega Alter did have it in chat. Ryoza Suzuki is the combat director, who
Yes.
worked previously on Devil May Cry.
Okay. So I am back in combat now. So we have, like, combat is a simple, just a 4-hit combo here. And you know what? That's fucking fine. And stuff. Like, we have, wait, do I even actually have the thrust? No, I don't use the thrust, like, at all. But, because I usually use a, gap closer to get in there. But you have, 2 mechanics here, which I think are pretty neat. You have your charged magic, which, just does that, and when you fire it, you get knocked back. That really takes me out of a combo a lot. It's with some like finagling and some moves, like if you do it in the air, it's a lot less of a pain, but it is. The other one is the charge blade. If you just hold square, you can, do this. My problem with this, it's only one attack. No matter where you are in your combo, it's always just the finisher. I would have much preferred it that each charge would do a different would basically follow your combo as well, so you could do a full charge combo as well. But instead, it's just
There is a so that's the thing. This game does really interesting things with mechanics. Obviously, Torgal's doing his own thing. You have your air companions.
Hello.
I think you don't have the Berserker ring yet. Do you?
No.
Yeah, that's an accessory you can equip that is very interesting because it basically gives you a new mechanic. The way the Berserker ring works is while it's equipped, if you do a precision dodge, you will actually enter a slightly powered up state, like 0.5 of a limit break, basically. And it says it increases your damage. I don't actually know for sure if it straight up increases your damage or just makes your basic attacks like twice as fast. The version of what this charge up does to your magic, for instance, is you shoot 2 projectiles instead of 1. So it might just make you faster, but it gives you a slightly different combo string that you execute faster and, powered up and stuff. And it lasts for a short while. I think it also improves as you keep doing dodges. So, like, it basically gives you a completely new optional mechanic where if you do precision dodges, hey, you get power-ups more. I know there is an accessory that I talked to you about that I think is available once you get past the point of no return.
Yeah, no, the channels
Where-
rings. Yeah.
Where you can just charge weapon all the time. I haven't seen one that charges the blade all the time, but I wouldn't be shocked if that's in here somewhere.
Well, and this is the other problem I have. They're locking gameplay mechanics behind accessories, and you only have 3 accessories. Like, you have all, like, your ring of things that makes the game easier for you, but just because of the way that the game is decoded, you can only have 3 of them at a time. Like, and then there's, like, all these little ones for all these other stuff. It's like, there's a lot of accessories, and I really don't feel like you should put something that changes your playstyle necessarily in an accessory slot. These should be something for you to, improve your character. because
Well,
this
go ahead,
with
finish.
every accessory slot that I use to be able to do a thing, it's like that is potential I've taken away against increasing my increase in stats and whatnot. Like, this is an RPG. You generally want your numbers to go up. Yes, Torgo. It's like the oh, cutscene. Burb. Fuck him up.
We got you cornered, Feathers. You didn't think you'd seen the last of us, did you? You've been bad for business. But I reckon someone will pay good coin to mount your head on their wall. Not around here, they won't. Oh. And why is that?
Anything's going on. But yeah, so I will say, talking about like weapon upgrades and accessory slots, I do kind of wish there was a separate tracker for like your playstyle upgrades versus like, hey, I'd just like to have +5 strength now. I don't mind the concept that they're just a toggle because there are definitely some of these that I think some people will not equip. Some people will probably not play with the Berserker Ring on because they don't prefer to do the precision dodge style, or they do something else. You know,
Like,
they
I
might
feel
like
like
not
those
use
should
normal
be like
dodges.
skill upgrades, like in the wheel, like all
I
that
mean,
stuff.
maybe. The question is just like the thing is that other than unbuying an ability, because obviously you could choose just not to buy it, there are not toggleable abilities in the wheel. So I don't actually know if this is like one of those like fundamentals of design questions, right? Where like they decided early that's just not how they're doing the upgrade tree. So the only way to make something a toggle is to make it an accessory. I don't know. Like I said,
I mean, I
it's,
think-
it's not a perfect game, and
Like-
there are some of these oddities. Like I do kind of agree with the concept because like my accessory slots are, I have one equipped where I get extra percentage of ability points because I always want more ability points. Never not want more ability points. I have the Berserker Ring equipped because I just like how that one feels. And then my third slot is kind of floating. Usually I use it to improve my Will of the Wicks because I fucking love Will of the Wicks. But I could switch that around to doing other stuff. You know, especially depending. Sometimes you might go for like just improve basic combo damage. I don't know. It is a little odd, but it's one of those weird things where like it's not a perfect system, but people who are like, oh, there's no RPG depth to this game, I'm like, you're not correct. There's actually a lot of meaningful choices to this game. Honestly, if anything, there's almost too many. Like, I think I would feel comfortable, as people in chat are saying, and you're saying, if there were more ways to just equip more stuff or toggle more things.
Like,
I would
I'm
have
okay.
more stuff.
Like, I'm okay with the like reduced equipment, but I wanted a more in-depth like skill system. I think that's what can I pull it up? Yes, I can. Like, you see how like this is like a single ring? Like, I would have liked it if like we unlock Burning Blade and then that branches out into maybe, you know, the Berserker Ring effect or the charge combo effect, or like with like the charge shot you unlock that's Swift Recovery, I'm an idiot. Charge magic, and that I unlock this one, and then that unlocks, you know, the Chandler earring effect and stuff, you know.
I do admit that I feel kind of slightly, I don't know if the game will get into it later, but I do feel slightly bamboozled of like I've mastered charge shot. That just makes it charge faster. It doesn't like, the thing it says is that it doesn't go to Ga, and I'm like, oh, why no Ga? I want to go one up one more. I want to do the thing.
So
Yeah, and I don't. Go ahead. I'm pondering a thought.
So it's like, because like we start with all these abilities, and like a lot of these just don't, like, you just start with them. They don't, like, they tell you what to do, but like I feel like there was a lot of potential here to like be able to upgrade like your basic aerial attack, maybe increase like the damage or the length.
Yeah,
know-
or just increase your combo string by 1.
Or like magic could have upgraded into charge, and then you could have a second charge, and you can have like wings on the side. Like, I think that would have been cool. Like, you could have moved, like, there's
I don't know if because I still you may, yeah, you've been in this area before. There's, I think the game calls them chronoliths nearby. There are weird things like the Arate Stone where you can get access to arcade mode and stage replay that are just in the world. I found like 3 of those things. I still can't do anything with them where I'm at in the game. They don't, they just exist. There's no interact prompt. I've heard people say that there are like time trials and challenges later. I don't know if some of those abilities are marked in your basic wheel because you can have challenges where you can't do them. Like,
Maybe.
I don't know if there's a challenge mode where you can't even use basic magic. So, like, I don't know yet. I like I said, I've played the game a lot, but I still feel like there is so much more, which astounds me because the parts of the game that I've played legitimately would be final confrontations later. I won't describe it, though. Again, this was seen in some trailers, but I'm through the Titan fight. That would legitimately be a final boss fight on like a PS2 or PS3 game. I still have loads of slots in my icon wheel I haven't even unlocked, y'all. Like there's so I don't know. Like I'm talking about there are some people in our Discord who got the game a little earlier than me and fired up. Yeah, we're flashbacking, in case you forgot. But like there are people who are like, oh yeah, I finally unequipped Phoenix from my icon slot because one of the new ones I got is so good. And I'm like, wow, there's real opportunity to like get deeper. I don't know. Maybe there is something to people saying like they feel like the game takes a while to get going because it really does. So I don't know. We may just be too early to answer some of these questions. Even then, I think it is still a genuine critique of like, okay, if this shit is added, why could we not add it earlier, right? But I don't know. Some of this stuff we'll have to check back in when we've played the whole thing. But yeah, there's definitely like some opportunities there. I'd love to see like a Jill mode. Because you've got no spoiler for you. You've got Rama in your rotation.
Yeah.
I was a little disappointed by the Rama options. Because I saw as an AI, Sid does some stuff that you can't really do, and I'm kind of like, oh, I like those, like his little ball net thing, and I'm like, oh, you can kind of do your own stuff. I'm personally playstyle wise, I'm not a big fan of the moves you get for Rama, but that's like personal playstyle stuff. So yeah, there's quite a lot, and there's some weirder stuff like. I think it's only some, but it might be all. But if you master an ability, you can equip it in other icons. So, like, I've got Will of the Wisps mastered. I can equip that outside of fire if I wanted to. So that's a really interesting one there. One of the moves you can. So, it's not entirely because Rama doesn't have that, but most of the icons I've seen so far have, like a counter move. I guess technically the lightning ball works as kind of a counter thing because if it gets punched, it pops. But Titan's counter attack is great. Basically, you do a shoulder check, and if you block an attack with the shoulder check, it turns into a fucking JoJo punch rush. I love that one. I've got that mastered, so I can technically equip it on other icon slots. So, like, there's a lot of depth. Yeah, Martha's saying something too. I kind of understand some people like want to go straight to Final Fantasy mode. I don't know how we'll feel when I get there, but yeah, it does feel like basic gameplay wise they could have gone deeper.
It's punished Ambrosia.
Yeah. A chocobo denied her quest. We also made sure to give the others in her flock some so that your allies have chocobos to ride. But yeah, like I if I had to guesstimate, I would say they focused on making the simple gameplay loop really tight and like building off it slowly and not trying to go too deep too fast.
I can understand that.
And I mean, I think that's why Yoshi P said they went for the more action RPG route. Like, not that I think it's a mistake, but they were trying to make this game more accessible to more people, right? Like, trying to make it more modern, more hip, grip more people. So I can see why they kind of softballed some stuff. And for you and me, we're experienced gamers, TM. We could do with a little more spice, but there are probably some people who are like, really glad that there are just the timely accessories and shit you can equip, and you can move on with some stuff and just play game and push button. First of all, that's not actually true. Lots of games have super hard difficulty modes you can't unlock until you actually clear the game. Usually there's like, you can switch between, easy, normal, and hard. This you can't do. It's only story or action, so it's only easy or normal. But
Ambrosia.
Hey,
Thank you.
oh yeah, no. It's there's so much humor in this game. Koji Fox busting his ass. But yeah, so like gameplay wise, there's stuff. And it's so weird because, like I said, every couple of hours there's another boss fight, and I think to myself, how the fuck will we possibly get better than that? The first time I had this thought, I can tell you because you're past that point, was Typhon.
Yeah.
Like when that weird synth music starts and Typhon fires up, and I'm like, okay, how are we gonna get better than this? And then I go down the line, and like I said, I did Titan, and I'm like, holy shit, how are we gonna get better than this? I think I still have like half my icons to unlock. What the fuck? Like, damn. I don't know what the final boss of this game is gonna be like. I suspect it's gonna be fucking crazy. Big cow.
Big horn.
Yeah. But yeah, like it's just damn. I immediately thought when the game gives you like 3 slots and only 2 abilities per slot, I was immediately like, oh, I'm gonna have to make some choices here. And then it only gets more because every time I get a new icon, it's like, oh shit, what do I got here? And that's another area where they probably could have gone deeper.
I do think actually the icon is okay. Because there are so many of them, you don't want to go completely ham on every single frickin' one.
Yeah. There's 5 abilities. Every icon has a unique action command, that's different for everyone. Phoenix, you have Phoenix Shift. Garuda is, Deadly Embrace. You get a pull, which has its own utility. Rama has the fucking shot lock from Kingdom Hearts. Blind Justice. And if you played the iconic challenge mode in the demo, you know that Titan's thing is Titanic Block. So you gain the ability to guard in addition to dodging, and that has precise block and precise counter timing as well. I will say, I mean, it makes sense because it's only one icon that has that ability. I kind of wish the game telegraphed which abilities were unblockable a little better. There's no real signifier for that in the game other than just you go to block and you get your ass blown up still. And I was like, oh, okay. Yes, I can't block that. Lesson learned. But for the most part, like you were saying, there's a desire for more, and I think the ability structure for icons is really good.
Yeah, no. Like, I think the icon structure is good because usually it focuses around a few little things, and I think that's fine.
The general formula seems to be you have one single target ability, one AoE ability, one kind of counter ability. Like I said, Rama breaks that, so we'll see if the others follow through. And then you have basically, it's not your limit break, but your limit break. You have one big bada boom special ability that has a really long timer. And those, I admit, because they have such long timers, I don't use them as much, but I do still use them. I have Garuda equipped still because takedowns are really good. Very fun, unique abilities. And I think you mentioned this, that you keep this combo. I can tell you that I'm a whole icon ahead of you. I still keep the gouge combo. It's really good. I'm getting close to mastering gouge. Like it's a good slap.
Actually, did I already master gouge? I think I did.
That's nice then. Yeah, it's a good one. But the other Garuda ability I have is Aerial Blast, because when you get a whole bunch of guys in a tight space, it's just really easy to suck them all up into a tornado.
Maybe I'll try that.
Yeah, so far, I don't know if there's a better ability for, pure, like, crowd control ulting. Like, because the tornado moves, it sucks up people. Yeah, I guess that's something to be said. There, people in chat talking about not getting enough bants per se. I think it fits the tone of all the characters pretty good. Clive is generally kind of, awkward. He doesn't know what the fuck he's doing with his life. So, like, I don't want to say there's not plenty of opportunity to talk to everybody and do everything. All your friends are hanging out at the hideout and stuff. You can go back and forth. You're right there. You know, like, I'm right on her. And I do appreciate this, like, cute little thing Jill and Clive have where when you go to Hideaway 2, Jill writes you letters to leave on your desk because you're both so fucking busy. I don't know, that might just be part of specifically Jill and Clive's relationship. I remember how Yoshi P told us there wouldn't be romance in this game.
He lied. He lied as easily as he breathed.
Yeah, I don't know if Yoshi P has straight up like lied about stuff, but it's definitely more like the way he chose to phrase that question and the way he may have been translated answering that question was definitely, I think he meant more that like romance is not a central plot arc of the game.
Yeah, there's no romance. Clive and Jill are clearly already married. Just done. We're past the romance.
Yeah.
They are now in the stable couple situation.
It's like they're... I think there's so much to be said. I personally, I think it is because Naoki Yoshida, Yoshi P himself is older, but like as a 30-year-old man myself, I greatly appreciate this phase in Clive's life, the phase we're in right now, where he's like 32 and still trying to figure out some of his shit. Like in some cases he's seen it all, but in other cases he's still like, oh god, what the fuck do I do? Nobody ever told me how to do this shit. Nobody ever taught me how to adult. Like it's fun, and I like the fact that they have these like slightly awkward romantic undertones where clearly they feel things, but also they don't know what the fuck to do about these feelings. They both had terrible fucking childhoods after a point. Both of them were used as human weapons, child soldiers, in fact, even possibly. And they're 18 years later, they're still not over it. So yeah, no, there's like solid stuff here. I love that rating. I think it was true, the thing that was reported that Koji Fox said that this game has a lot of subtleties. There's a lot of, subtle gestures, unspoken truths, back and forth things. And there's a lot of really good opportunity to bond with people. There's a fun little side quest you can do. Actually, was it a main quest? It might have been a main quest. Yeah, it was. It was a main quest later. But you have optional choices. You can pick who to take with you on errands. And so there's a lot of back and forth. And it's really interesting because at one point, the game gives you a choice like, hey, do you want to take Jill or Tarja with you? And I was like, well, for stuff reasons, technically we're supposed to be letting Jill rest. So I'll let her stay back with Harpo crates and tomes. And I'll take Tarja with me. I've never been out about in the world with Tarja. 5 minutes later in dialogue, Tarja's like, Clive, I don't think I've ever been out on an errand with you like this. And I'm like, damn. Wow. And it's just full of little things like that, Like, the early side quests are very, like, the actual quest structure are very simple and straightforward.
Yeah.
But that's not the point. The whole point is that you, like, they give you a reason to, like, pick up on, learn more about characters. Some characters who, after time skips, are not around anymore, you are introduced to these characters and then they are gone. But also, like, generally fills you in on the Hideaway's deal. I will say I saw, an interesting quote discussion, but something that I actually, like, I enjoy and agree with as well. It's really interesting. Obviously, Clive is, I think, one of our first ever central protagonist in a Final Fantasy who, at this stage in his life, is just straight up, he's like 32, He's a grown-ass man with grown-ass man problems. But also, y'all, Sid, and God, I could talk about Sid for hours. But Sid's a straight up anarchist. Like, not like in the you know, pop culture way, but like actually the Hideaway is built on like collectivist philosophy. We are all about lack of hierarchy, tearing down the establishment, and mutual collective support. Like, that's just what it's like, you know. Nobody's gonna look out for us, so we're all gonna look out for each other. And it's like, damn, wow. This is just you know, what we're doing. And God, Sid is such a great character. Everybody loves Sidolphus. I don't know if I've seen a single post out where somebody was like, man, I hate Sid.
Do you think Gav and Tarja are an item?
Oh, they could be. Gav definitely, you know, I mean, everybody's got their own thing going on, but I feel like Gav's boisterous enough. He's got to get in there somewhere. Good old Gav, the wind beneath my wings. My bestest boy.
Yo, don't you lie to me. They were going to occupy it before even the fall of Drake's Head.
Yeah, but technically I don't think we'd know that. That's another thing about this game. It's an oldie but a goodie. We get cutscenes where they tell us about stuff happening that we're not there for. There's a lot of fucking dramatic irony in Final Fantasy 16.
And now the Republic's finally decided to follow suit, using liberation as an excuse to
Look at us, just hanging out, drinking like adults. Lucky, did you buy everybody at the bar around?
Yes. Oh, when I first got here, I didn't buy one here on this one.
It's good. It's a good one.
Does that actually have a purpose, or you just way to just?
I don't know if it has a purpose, but I think it's just a cool thing you could do. Best 10K gil I've ever spent. Just like, hey, on me.
Everyone just looks at him.
Dramatic look. I mean, it has been 5 years since we capped a crystal.
4 mother crystals remain in Storm and Ash. Drake's breath near Ironhome. Drake's fang in Dhalmekia.
Soken, you fucking madman.
And Drake's tail here in the Crystalline Dominion.
You think about some music?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's good. That's another thing that's, I think, been universally praised. The music design in this game is really good.
That is exactly the move Kuku would anticipate. And if there is anything these past 5 years have taught us, is that he loves his traps.
Yeah, Kupka and his fucking tracks.
There is one place, however, where nobody will be expecting us to go.
Drake's breath.
There's a shitload of sea between us and it, and I've never been much of a swimmer.
I have an acquaintance in Port Isolde who may be able to help.
Who's that then?
Drake's bonk.
Cole. Byron Rossfield.
Lord Byron Rossfield at the Seven High House, the trade magnate with holdings.
Yeah, that's right. You're still early enough. You haven't met good old Unky Byron yet.
Wait, Rossfield. And you're a Rossfield, of course.
My uncle's name gave him his start in the world, but it was his acumen which earned him his fortune. Along with a handsome fleet of ships.
Gotta pull out the uncle card, I guess. Gav, I'm glad you're keeping your spirits up. Oh, must be more stuff to do in the hideaway. Otto's counter is now open.
Oh, we'll have fun with Clive, don't you worry. But yeah, so like storytelling wise, this game's amazing. I love it.
Oh no, that's great.
I again, I kind of understand where if you get into the demo, and I mean I said it myself when I played the demo, if you're like, this is just Game of Thrones, because like it starts at that level, but once again, the demo ends with the fucking kaiju battle. So like, that's not how Game of Thrones works. And there's lots of subtle stuff in the world design and storytelling that I really like. Like I talked about this for the demo as well, but I like how actively you see people using magic. Obviously, that is kind of part of the greater, like narrative of the game, the relationship of the bearers and all that stuff. But even when it's crystals, right? Like you see everybody out here using magic. It's a cornerstone of this society. And is that a good thing, Should we be sucking down all these crystals? We dare to ask the question, are crystals good?
I love this
Who's a
object,
good
by the
boy?
way.
Yes.
I also love shit like this where they're just like, here, have some mementos of your journey. I'm all like, yes, give me that. Just give it.
Yeah. And it's kind of interesting. I think like I said, I'm a ways ahead of you in the game, and I only have like 4, I think.
All right, so I gotta go to Hawks.
But yeah, I love specifically the oath. The like symbolic thing of why we do our business. Well, we just stab this crystal together. So
I love
think
Sid
even
was
that
all like,
conversation,
could have
yeah.
just said I.
yeah. No, Sid, we're about grand gestures here. You understand that. We're cool. God, Sid's so good.
What's up, Nectar?
What's the matter, Nectar? The hunt. It's where the Cursebreakers post sightings of particularly fearsome beasts. Those that might pose a threat to our operations.
Thank you, Exposition Clive.
Just because they can't be dealt with when they're spotted.
I mean, he's a Moogle. I don't know if he knows what the fuck the hunt board is.
Was that what you wanted to know?
And then he's like, yeah, I know what the fucking hunt board is.
Right. Well, leaving your mightiness aside for the moment, the people of Valisthea are going through a lot. The last thing they need is ungodly fiends telling them. Perhaps I can.
Well, let's see what's on the hunt board.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Angel of Death. Sambrink, the Broken Hint, Rosaria. What are these, like, little green currency things here?
That is Renown,
Oh.
which I think if you turn around to Otto's counter, the girl's there who explains it. She runs the Patron's Whisper, which
Oh, here it is.
You do Renown stuff, you get stuff.
Welcome to the Patron's Whisper.
Because you're Sid, the famous outlaw now.
Does that mean someone else is taking care of our friend's donations?
Oh no, that's still me. It's just Karen has her toll, Blackthorn has his hammer. I thought a new name might liven things up. I still catalogue every item that arrives, in addition to setting aside those tokens of appreciation the sender has specified are to be presented to you personally. Would you like to see if we have any?
Sure.
Your benefactors are a generous lot.
Oh.
So yeah, more Renown, unlock more stuff. You can't see all the rewards right away. You got to go down, but once you get up there, you'll get some stuff.
Okay, so I can just...
All yours.
Heartstuck Dowager.
And they come with little notes explaining, who's sending you what and why.
I like this.
Yeah. There's a lot. Again, like I said, we could have our little our little notes about the gameplay, but there's so much heart in this goddamn game.
Well, yeah, no,
There's
like I
just so
said, I
many
could,
things
like,
I
there's
like
things I'll complain about, but that ain't gonna stop me from having a good time. And this is the thing I think last week I was talking about. It's like,
Yeah.
it's okay not to love everything about a game, but that doesn't mean it's bad. It's like, it just means that, you know, you like some parts of it more than others. And I like a lot of the heart of this game. Like a lot of it.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Like, at its core, Final Fantasy 16 is the story of a guy who, like, loses everything, right? Like, his entire life comes crashing around him. He's just trying to figure out what the fuck to do with himself. And some of that turns into, like, inheriting things from other people, you know, a lot of classic stuff. Doing right by your friends.
Oh, hey, this is what happened to this area. I mean, well, previously.
Yeah.
They grow and shit.
Yeah, and you can also see them actively taking the blight out of the water.
Sid, I was hoping to speak to you.
Is everything all right?
Oh, yeah, it's just, well, as you know, we've been trying to grow fruit down here.
I appreciate the voice acting that people actually talk like people. They stutter and they kind of, you know, trail off, or they like get overly excited.
Yeah, no, the acting's really good. I've heard some people talk about it, and I think I kind of agree. Some of the animation in the, like, minor cutscenes is a little odd sometimes. Though, you know, it's still decent enough. You don't notice it most of the time. And there are a couple of odd cases where you get, like, not voice acted, but you get dialogue boxes where, like, some lines are voice acted, but not the whole thing. I don't know if that was just, like, supplemental stuff that they were like, we don't really want to voice act all this. It's, you know, adding all our stuff. Yeah, you did the side quest for the green grower in the first hideaway, right?
Yep.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of talk about emotional damage. This game has a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of emotional highs and lows. But you know what?
Botanist.
Torgal's always there for you. He is your rock.
He is your rock. He's like,
You haven't even seen the ways that Torgal could be your rock yet, too. Torgal gets rockier.
well, I already have questions about this good boy who has survived, 18 years, was able to stand against an ultimate being's attack. And,
Yeah, no, he's standing in the room when some people, go not just semi-prime, but full prime. Like, no, I think the game understood that we would ask these questions, and it does actually do a little bit of work later
okay.
to actually explain, like, why Torgal is not just an ordinary wolfhound. He is, in fact, a slightly better than normal dog. He is a good boy, the goodest.
The goodest boy. Look at these kids just wondering if they can pet him, and Torgal's just like, just pet me. Do it.
Yeah, Torgal's great.
I love Torgal.
He's a good old softie. I still, you know what the story DLC I need? Torgal's Adventure.
Oh man, that'd be
Torgal's Great Journey,
amazing.
because like, when you run into Torgal again, to put this in context for everybody, Torgal is a pup when you do the prologue stuff, when you're in the intro. He's just a little guy hanging out with Jill. When you meet him again, like, and think of like Clive's journey, right? It's so crazy because after that moment, like, Clive's dad is killed. He thinks his brother has been killed. The Phoenix Gate has burned down. His mom is a huge asshole who decided to marry the Emperor of Sanbreque, and so the Archduchy becomes a province of the Empire. Meanwhile, while that was happening, the Iron Crusaders raid the capital and kidnap Jill and a whole bunch of other women folk and civilians. So Torgal apparently survives that by escaping. He skedoodles out of that situation to randomly run into you with Sid when Clive goes through all this recompense with like the Empire Special Forces, realizes that the Shiva's dominant is Jill, and is just like, not today, Tiamat. Today I choose violence against you. And shout out to Clive, being, a slave soldier for like what's the first time skip, like 12 years?
13 years.
13 years. The moment he sees Jill's face and realizes it's her, he's just like, no. fuck you,
Rebellion.
buddy. Yep. You know, I've been waiting for my moment to hand you my pink slip. Today's the day. Fuck you. Get out of here. And he was quite willing to face down all those Iron Islanders as well as Iron Crusaders too. But yeah, no, just Sid just shows up with a giant smoke bomb and Torgal's there, and even Clive is like, no, there's no way. Torgal, what the fuck are you doing here? By the way, once again, I greatly appreciate they let you say fuck in this Final Fantasy. It's real good. It's very important.
It is important.
There's also a couple of shit in there. It's very necessary, okay? But yeah, like I'm just like I still wonder where the fuck was Torgal. Like when you get back to the hideaway, like Lady Charon says that, you know, he just kind of showed up and she's been looking after him, but I'm still like, what the fuck? How did this good boy manage this? So yeah, give me Torgal mode. I am very curious about ongoing updates, you know, like Yoshi P said he had like an 18-month plan for the sales. So like I assume they might have some more in their pocket.
Well, there's another one.
Yep.
Again, if I want to complain about something, I'm gonna complain about other people who complain. I want to complain about people who complain about the side quests. Like, a lot of people talk about how side quests are just the usual. I know I've had this argument before, but I'm going to reiterate it. People are always talking about how side quests are either just, you know, go someplace and talk to a person or go someplace and kill something. And they talk about how that's really, you know, boring and stuff. And I am just like, then what the fuck have you been doing for the rest of this fucking game besides, you know, going somewhere to kill something? Like, the purpose of the side quest is not necessarily to what's the word I want to use? Like, push the main narrative. It's to, you know, push the side narrative, which is why it's called a fucking side quest.
Yeah, their purpose is to build your relationship with the world and the supporting cast, which is varied. There are side quests that are optional but useful progression. Like he's already done the Chocobo one on stream, you know. So there's more like that. I talk about. There's one later that lets you increase your consumable effectiveness. There's another that increases your consumable efficiency. There are some that unlock optional crafting items. I did a quest where I unlocked the blueprint to build Excalibur. It's not Ultimate Weapon, I suspect, for a reason. Though I don't know. There might be an Ultimate Weapon later. We'll see. But yeah, no. There are rewards, like obviously side quests help you build your renown to get more unlocks. They can give you spending cash and stuff like that. But the purpose is to put you in the world and like experience these characters. And yeah, I mean that's what it's there for. I understand that like the early ones are very basic. I still think those are very important. Like you might not think there's any merit to like, oh, I'm playing this big burly badass Clive. Why the fuck am I delivering soup? Because the whole point is that you, Clive, have just come from a 13-year sentence as, you know, basically a slave. And you are working with other bears, other branded. And the whole point of the hideaway is that you're all in this together and nobody really stands on ceremony, right? Like, you know, one of the guys you deliver soup to is like injured. He's, you know, lame in one leg, I think. You know, there are other guys who are like really busy and they have no concept of this hot food stuff, and you're like, yeah, no, give you the food. Here, food. And the guy pays you a fair wage because that's another thing that we do at the hideout. Everybody is compensated for their work. It's why Otto rides that poor kid so hard about the ledgers. Also, by the way, some people have questions about the world map. I don't mind this world map style. It might be better if there were some transitions differently than just suck you to world map. But honestly, a lot of these sections are all interconnected. You just have to wait for the story to let you walk back and forth between them. So some of these field areas are huge, right?
Yeah.
Like, you've just walked into like South Rosaria. You can't go there yet, but eventually this links up to the areas of Rosaria you've already been to.
I've seen those. I've seen those blocked off areas.
Yeah. So like, you just when you're not allowed to go good, you can loop back and forth. But yeah, it's just I don't know. Like I said, also again, a lot of people are like, oh, but other Final Fantasies were open world maps. Yeah, but also not really.
I mean, what purpose is an open world map? The only time an open
mean-
world map is good is when you have lots of things you can do inside that map.
Or, hey, in Final Fantasy, the world map was part of the core gameplay loop because you know what happened on the world map tiles? Random encounters. Which we do not do here. Not that some encounters don't feel random sometimes, you know. Like when you randomly ran into that Aramon for no reason other than the game decided to do that mechanic. But still.
I saw that little smile you gave her, Clive. Don't. It's like you too.
Yeah, no, listen, we're doing stuff. And I greatly appreciate this, right? Like this is kind of the mirror of the first bit you did in Rosaria, where Clive's like, I've got to go back to Phoenix Gate. I need to find out for myself what happened, and then you have to press L3 and R3 to accept the truth. It's really good. But like this is that counterpoint where Jill's like, you know, I need some closure on my horrible childhood trauma, and Clive's like, I'm with you all the way. I'm 100% here. But yeah, like some people are like, oh, but the original Final Fantasy VII had a world map. That was also super segmented. Until you get very, very late in the game, you can't actually explore all of it all the time. And there are some areas that you can't explore unless you do the Chocobo breeding side quest, which is its own, kettle of fish. And even then, the point of the world map is, one, to hide hidden areas that keep you from really powerful shit, like doing the Chocobo thing so you can get access to the Knights of the Round Materia. Or it exists to segment stuff for story sections and, level segment things so that you're not, wandering into endgame areas. This does that just fine by just Clive doesn't go to certain areas.
Yeah, the only real purpose... Bluebird! Evil Chocobo.
Yeah, I still haven't met I know it exists. I still haven't gotten to the point where the Red Comet hunt is unlocked. Yeah, no. Otto's counter with the missives, the allied dispatches, I think they called it. They got a lot of fancy names for stuff. That's just a really good way to just be like, hey, homie, there's side quests in this area, in case you didn't notice.
So
Like, it's a really good way to keep track.
If I may talk about another niggle I have with this game, I don't like the fact that I have to rotate through my icons like this. I think I much would have preferred if they were put on the D-pad like Devil May Cry. And instead the items were now you have to push I have to look at my controller, L1, and then you access your item. Because I find it really weird that my fucking lock-on is L1. I'm gonna be real.
It is a little odd. I do sometimes forget to lock on. I think you can switch that.
Yeah, no, there's different controller schemes, but
yeah, I do kind of feel like in some cases, again, they're doing the best with what they got. But yeah, there's a few button prompts that are weird. I wouldn't mind if you could hold down the button. I've just done the thing where I've developed the muscle memory and gotten used to it. Though I've joked about this because I did 2 Final Fantasy 14 streams last week. There were times where I'm like, yeah, hold on, sorry, I tried to work on a guy with L1 and or some other weird shit. Like I instinctively go to try and dodge. And I'm like, that's not what R1 does. Where the fuck am I going? Oh shit, I don't have toggle in this game. Though once again, I would like to say, I think now that this game has come out, I think there's 2 choices for a new job in 7.0. One of which is just, hey, add Beastmaster. Torgal the class. They could do it. There's some stuff.
I feel
you did some
honestly, I love
claims.
Torgal. I don't think he needs his own subsystem.
Yeah, honestly, I did the Ring of Timely Assistance for a while, but genuinely AI Torgal does pretty good work. His extra buttons are nice when you need them. Because they set up combos and stuff like some of you're doing there. You can use him as a finisher. You can use his heal ability if you need to.
Oh, I got a lot of points to use some stuff.
It is kind of. I also want to say I find it kind of interesting how this game treats healing magic. Like that seems to be very, very specific to certain icons. And I've seen bearers like casting curative magic, but that's not something Clive can do without, getting into like either limit break can be used to regen your health bar that's not all the way gone, or you do recover HP when you do the Phoenix ult, Flames of Rebirth. But yeah, it's interesting because I know that Jill can cast regen. That is a thing she does sometimes. If you get your ass clapped, you will occasionally get a little beeble booble, and you'll start regenerating HP from Jill.
No, but like again, I feel like I said, it's just one of those quibbles. I think I would have liked to be able to equip 4 icons in total and just have them each mapped to a D-pad. Because sometimes when I'm trying to like switch to do a specific move, I will accidentally like forget which one I am, and then I'll end up on remove.
Yeah, I definitely still do that. I'll be like, oh shit, an air enemy. Let me switch to Garuda and grab, and I'll tap it twice because Garuda's number 3, and I'm like, wait, I wasn't on Phoenix, I was on Titan as my number 2. Shit, I went too far.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if like you held it down or it was just a D-pad switch, or actually, yeah, no, I think it's a D-pad switch in the Yakuza games usually for stances, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's good. The consumable menus is cool, but I feel like they designed it that way just so they could have the third button free to switch between Torgal and consumables. I don't know. I mean, like, there's lots of little things I do like. Like, I love the fact that when you're full on consumables, you don't get them; it uses them automatically, which actually like is sometimes helpful because you'll take some tip damage in this game. You'll get some hits while you're learning new mechanics, or you'll get blindsided. And I do kind of feel like the non-locked on auto aim is sometimes a little weird. Like, I don't know if it's just proximity or if it's also like field of view. There are times when I am like clearly facing and hitting a guy without locking on, and then I'll do like heat wave, and I will decide to randomly blast, the third guy on the left, and I'm like, okay, not what I was aiming for, but I guess that's my bad. I didn't lock on, That's another thing. Like, generally the way I feel about this game is when I'm having a bad time, when I'm getting my ass kicked, or when stuff's not going super great, I usually blame me, not the game. Like, there are some ways the control scheme could be better, but usually I feel like it's my fuck up because, shit, I forgot what icon I was on, or, I got confused and I accidentally hit, R2 instead of L2 to switch icons, which does nothing because it's R2 to, switch to iconic ability. So if you just hit R2, nothing happens. I'm like, that was my bad. I'm sorry, game. My beat. Like, there have been a couple enemies that were, like, a little tough to get used to some of their patterns, but generally it's felt pretty good. And even when I've gotten, like, there was one time when I was, like, disappointed. I was like, shit, I'm gonna have to do all that again. And then I reloaded the checkpoint, and the enemy was, like, right where I had last left him when he shifted phases. He was still, like, 2/3 of his AP gone. I was like, oh, okay. No complaints. I don't really have any problems with, well, depending on the Dragoon, sometimes they switch phases faster than others, but in general they're pretty good. The enemy that kicked my ass the first time was the Akashic Dragon. That guy had some change-ups and then some ranged shit I just wasn't ready for, and that got me. And then I didn't lose.
Ooh,
but I had
this tornado lasts a while.
Yeah, no, it goes a while. Like I said, this is a real good crowd control move because you will that will stay. That will move to track enemies that aren't sucked up, and it'll suck up some guys. Great way to just be like, oh, there's like a dozen guys here. Tornado, get the fuck out of here. The ults are pretty spicy, but they last a while if you don't have those accessories equipped. But yeah, like I said, I don't feel like I'm being, flummoxed by game design or whatever. I'm like, oh shit, I'm not playing this game good. That's my problem. And that's a rare one. There's a lot of times where I'm like, I know what game wants me to do, but I cannot execute well enough or, get out of there, or I feel like the game does deliberately try to stymie you sometimes. Like, it's a thing I said, it's interesting. Like, I think Tears of the Kingdom is a really good game. Like, they did a lot both as a sequel and as a standalone experience. But in general, because that game is kind of like open world and survival designed right, some of those mechanics are designed to in a literal definition, frustrate you. Not necessarily like, oh, they're trying to make you frustrated and angry. No. I mean, there are deliberate roadblocks and obstacles. They are designed to stymie you and to put stuff in front of you and be like, hey, this desert's super hot. It's going to kill you. What are you going to do about that? You know, if you don't do anything, you'll die. Now, the things you can do are different. You can change clothes. You can, you know, be like, okay, I guess I'll dig out an elixir. Or you can be like, fuck it, I've got 20 hearts and a full bag of food. I'll just keep eating shrimp until I run through this desert, you know? But it's designed to give you these obstacles. So far, Final Fantasy 16 doesn't feel like that. Like, even if you fuck up a QTE, which I've only done once because I accidentally pushed the wrong button. Again, just complete brain fart on my part. I was supposed to dodge. I hit punch instead. I did not read the room right. Even then, like, Clive got bonked and you know, said a funny line. Like, so I took a little bit of damage and then we moved on to the next sequence, you know? Like, I didn't, like, reset me entirely. It didn't feel really bad. It was just like, oop, my bad, fucked it up. Took a little damage there. You know, like, I feel like 16 is a game that, for lack of a better word, wants you to play it. Like, Yoshi P wants you to see all this cool shit. He's like, you're gonna like this next bit, you know? Like, we're here to pull you from the next bit to the next bit to the next bit. So, like, nothing really feels like it's like trying to block me off from stuff, other than maybe there are going to be a couple of, like, hunts you can access that you're not going to be at the level cap for, or at the right level for, I should say, when they first unlock. Like, I'm sure you could do them, but it would probably be much easier to actually, like, wait until you're a little further in the game and a little par with their level and then go do them. But other than that, like, it's like, nah, like, most of this stuff feels pretty solid, and you can do this cheese. Good. And like I said, the writing's really good. And while I do believe that argument, I think, has died down a little since the game came out, there were still a lot of people who were like, oh, this is not a Final Fantasy game. You're fucking wrong. There's a weird, pale asshole called Ultima in this game, okay? It's Final Fantasy. Like,
I think
okay, sure.
Oh,
go for it.
No, keep going, please.
Well, I was going to say, okay, so if all the icons didn't sell you, you know, and all the name stuff, I have to go to actually, I think this was something that I saw somebody tweet. Was it Susie Hunter? I think it was. Somebody like, if Final Fantasy 16 is not a Final Fantasy, why am I gathering a bunch of random materials to forge an ultimate weapon? Because, yeah, you know, you can craft an Excalibur, and you got to go do some hunts to get some special materials for that. But, like, plot-wise, the game starts at, like, ooh, Game of Thrones political drama. Very quickly devolves into basically... I don't think Clive actually cares about the political part of the drama, right? Like, for you as Clive is the main character, I feel like the plot beats are broken into 2 points. One, Clive's actual, like, emotional interpersonal relations, right? You're doing shit because Jill needs closure on something. Oh, you're going to go meet your uncle who you haven't seen in, like, 18 years, you know? I've got to figure out what happened that night at Phoenix Gate kind of shit. Or, you know, other stuff like, I'm, you know, working on getting back at Hugo Kupka because he sucks. He's a big, dumb doo-doo head. He's a bad man. You know. Or it's like the mystical bullshit, you know, the world is slowly fucking dying and, you know, we gotta kill the crystals, Clive. Clive, you've got to kill the crystals. Which we don't even know if that's the right choice, right? It seems like it's doing stuff. But is it correct to do it? I don't fucking know. Like, I think the game actually does some work to kind of, like, present as like, a little open-ended. Like, for instance, it might be discussed explicitly a little bit later, but I'm sure it's been available in, like, the tomes or active time lore stuff. But, you know, Jill originally comes from the Northern Territory, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, she was taken as a you know, political hostage after her people invaded Rosaria and lost. Well, if you look on your maps, the Northern Territories is now just full of blight. it's said somewhere around here in the story explicitly that they used to have a mother crystal in the Northern Territories that collapsed. So it's one of those things of like, the game still hasn't fully like explained the mechanics, and I don't know if it will, but like it could be a chicken and egg. Did the mother crystal in the north fall because it ran out of aether to suck up?
I can fight on her. Let's go.
Yeah, you can ride in combat. You got a couple moves. If you get hit, I think you get blasted off the back. But yeah, you can do some stuff. You also can't fly, but you can glide if you jump into the air and hold.
This Death Blossom is having the literal worst day.
Yeah, it's okay. It's a plant. Yeah, it's a Death Blossom. It's some kind of weird plant.
Oh, it's doing the 14 thing. We went too far. I have to go back.
Yep. No, they do that. You take them too far out of their zone, they'll just run the fuck back. They're like, hold on, I'm lost. I've got to go home. I think the only place it might not do that is in dungeons. I have heard people joke about Clive doing wall-to-wall pulls. So I think in some of the one-time dungeon areas, you can actually pull all the enemies to you if you want to just fuck with their shit. Barring like doors and stuff. But yeah, like story-wise, you're caught between these moments of like, Clive's relationship with other people and building all this interpersonal stuff and Clive's dream, which is inherited from Sid's dream and all that. And then there's just some fucking magic bullshit going on that you have no idea what the fuck it is because nobody will goddamn explain it to you. You are a grown-ass man and nobody will tell you what the fuck a mythos is. All we know is that Ultima's coming for them cheeks. But again, if you haven't done the time skip, there are spoilers, but I think most of those people have left or don't care. But like, fucking, we all thought it. Joshua's alive. He comes to bail your ass out. And then we just don't talk for like 5 years. I'm not sure why.
Rosaria must be cleansed of the stain which befoul
But no, it's pretty good. Oh yeah, that's right. These fucking assholes.
There's no reason
because
to be talking. I should be like unleashing ambrosia on them.
Yeah. Just when you think your mom can't be any more of a bitch, she's like, yes, I've developed my own secret police squad named after the honorable knights of my homeland who suck.
Yeah, no, like at no point Clive's like, I gotta go take out my mother. She's a bitch.
Yeah. But also, there's no love lost there. Like, Clive is absolutely like, what the fuck is my mother doing? Why? Why, mother? It's a question I ask. I mean, like I said, I've gotten far enough into the game that I understand the rough outline of her motivation, but at the same time, I don't really feel sympathy for her. Genuinely, I wonder like if she's not like a sociopath, like. Because even just in the demo, her reaction to, like, Joshua dying, like, oh, Joshua's my whole world, and now he's dead. And I'm like, what? You really don't seem that broken up about it. Well, like, it's bad. It's funny, though. I don't think the game has really played anything up to this, but I do kind of hope that maybe it will come up later. Again, don't spoil it for me if it doesn't. But technically... Clive's stepbrothers with the Bahamut dominant with Dion. Because your blood mother, your whole ass mom married the Emperor, so that means that she's now Dion's mother-in-law, and you could be bros with Bahamut.
I did hear that in the design philosophy, Dion was made to be the light to Clive's darkness, design-wise.
That makes sense both aesthetically and his position in the story. Like, I've only gotten a little bit of what's going on with Dion, but I feel like in a different Final Fantasy, Dion would be the main character. He feels like the kind of character you'd expect, where he's like the good prince, the loyal prince. I mean, he's got, Bahamut's got his back kind of shit,
Mm-hmm.
He is a Dragoon. Like, he's the commander of the Dragoons, so, like, yeah, like, there's definitely some moments there. And I do actually hope Clive gets to actually meet him and speak with him a little about some stuff. Because, like, at the very least, I feel like they've got some experience that they can share about how much the Duchess sucks. But yeah, like there's all the character writing. This is really good. Like I said, there's only one character who like I said, I don't understand why Clive's mom, the Duchess Arabella, is like so extreme in her methods. Like her decision tree to me feels like she looks at whatever the thing she could do to be the shittiest person and picks that one. I don't know why she's like that. I understand what she's doing, but I don't understand why she is the way she is. But like almost everybody else, like Kupka sucks. He sucks big. I understand why he sucks, though.
Yeah.
Like I understand why he's turbo mad at me. I think he's taking it a little bit far, because nobody explained to him that Benedicta Harmon was absolutely playing his ass. But you know, like he mad. Hell, I understand Benedicta. Like, she used to be powerless, and then Sid was like, hey, kid, you're pretty cool. You want to be somebody? And then she made that her entire personality.
Mm-hmm.
I am somebody. I am a person. I am the dominant of Garuda. I cannot be fucked with. And honestly, like, when you're at that point in the story, Clive doesn't know that he's a dominant yet. You know, you haven't awakened Ifrit for realsies. So, like, when she's like, who the fuck are you, Rando Brandon, that you're coming in here and getting my steez, you know, we don't understand. But it's true. The Rosaria stuff is also really interesting because, like, this would be another thing that in a different game, in a different narrative, the whole game would just be about Clive retaking his homeland, right?
Yeah. I think that'd probably be leaning more on the Game of Thrones aspect, though.
Yes, that would definitely get more into the politics because you would need, you know, alliances, help, complications. But Clive's not really about that. Clive has a new people to look out for. The Hideaway is his home now. He's got to look out for those guys. He still loves the people of Rosaria and wants to help them, but the way he helps them is not he becomes the new Archduke, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, depending on how this game ends, like, Clive's epilogue is just he, you know, retires back to the capital and, you know, minds his own business kind of a thing. But, you know, it's intriguing. I also find it really interesting how, like I said, you know, Jill is technically royalty from a different territory that is now Blighted. You know, they lost a war with Rosaria. She doesn't really seem to be cut up about any of that. Like, the thing she's mad about is that the Iron Crusaders, you know, raided the capital of Rosaria and kidnapped her and, you know, threatened a bunch of civilians to keep her in line. Because they suck. Like, it's I don't know. Everybody's just everybody's written so well in this. It's so good.
The thing I want to know is if the airship we are living in will actually fly one day. That's what I want to know.
I still don't know that one. I'm still not unconvinced.
Well, they say it's the Invincible, and the event
Yes.
that's a reference to older Final Fantasies. I think it was 3.
But there is also semi-spoilers, I guess. There's an Enterprise later as well that's mentioned. That's not an airship, but a ship. It's kind of shocking, like I said, how this game doles out. You still haven't met Mid, which is really interesting. That takes a while. But Mid's a great character.
Give me your laser sword.
You did all the side quests before the time skip, right? I'm
Yeah.
sure you did. Yeah, so you remember picking up those letters, so you remember the mention that Sid has a daughter.
Yep.
That's
Oh.
Sid Mid. That's also not her full name, but yeah. She's studying Caniver, so she does your engineering stuff. It's funny. Mid does the things that a Sid would normally do for you. But they take a while to bring her in. It's like I said, it's interesting how they dish out these characters. Like, again, you're about to meet Uncle Byron, who was completely not mentioned until now in dialogue anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like they do some work to dole out all these people. So yeah, I'm also still not unconvinced that we're not gonna have to like take the Invincible off at some point. I understand why we would need a boat though, because there's one Mother Crystal that's on a different fucking island. Also, Odin kind of sucks. I want to punch him too.
Waloed seems kind of a bad place. I'm gonna be real.
Yeah, I mean that if I remember his lore notes as well, you know, Barnabas's thing was that he was basically nobody until he awakened as Odin's dominant and like took over Waloed by force, which is kind of their thing. So like I get why he is kind of the way he is, but yeah, they don't seem like nice dudes. I mean,
Hey, guess
Odin
what?
is explicitly
Tornado.
yeah, I gotta get him.
Bye.
Hey nerds, sucks to suck. Bye. Get the fuck out of here.
Actually, can I? Oh,
I mean, you can absolutely still combo them, but if you have guys that are outside of the tornado, you can absolutely pull them into the tornado with Deadly Embrace. Very funny. But yeah, this is a really interesting thing that I am curious if it does have more metaphysical like implications. But it is explicit that Odin is the icon of darkness and Bahamut is the icon of light, because there's 8 of them. And also, you immediately caught this as well, but I'm like, where the fuck is the icon or the dominant of water? Where's that guy? What are they doing? Where are they?
chilling with the Sahagin.
I guess. Not that I've seen any Sahagin yet in this game, but I would not be shocked. But yeah, because like the game explicitly calls out there's supposed to be 8 of them, and I think you've got space for 8 slots in your wheel. But there was no pre-release material about a icon of water. I would assume that would be Leviathan, but I'm not sure. Because it does kind of seem like they want to do some more. They want to make sure that you're the icon humanoid mode because of the way priming and semi-priming works. But yeah, there's loads of backstory stuff. It's very interesting. You know, there's a lot of the conversation about the different, you know, religions. Like the Holy Empire follows Grigor, who is some kind of generic fantasy goddess lady. But you know, there's other. I think there's some other religious aspects as well. The Iron Crusaders follow Crystal Orthodoxy. Again, you're playing a Final Fantasy game. Don't you lie to me. This is the finalist of fantasies. There's weird crystal religion. Jill's just gonna shoot those guys with icicles. Free shots. But yeah, arguably, you know, I don't know for sure, but we're both still fairly early in the game. Like, I think I'm only like maybe just over the halfway point. So we'll be talking about 16 for a long to come.
Yeah.
Hold on, I have to go step away from the computer for a second to grab my bottle of water.
Hydrate or dirate.
I mean, you're playing it, so you'll probably say stuff as it comes up. But is there anything else about 16 you wanted to bring up, Lucky?
Not anything off the top. That's blood.
Blood, Clive.
That's a blood. Yep. Bad News Bridge. Also, yeah, no shit, Jill. There's a lot of blood.
You were told to
Good thing you always have Torgal to detect evil.
You know who we are, and still you would bear your steel. Why then, we owe you our thanks. You have saved us the trouble of an interrogation. To dwell in darkness, that we may purge the night and welcome lasting dawn. On these, our swords we swear.
I know it's because, you know, this is like your first time running into him, but man, I'm getting tired of hearing that.
Yeah, I mean, it may actually be kind of a... Like, I think the point is that you get tired of hearing that. The point of these guys is to be kind of insufferable and annoying. But yeah.
Yeah, you didn't need your spleen there, buddy. Have fun with that, guys. Oh, you got me.
It's okay, you got him better. But yeah, if there's not anything further immediately, we can talk some fun other game stuff.
Okay.
One of the things was I've mentioned it before, but I don't think I was as open about it on What's Up yet, but I'll talk about people. Definitely one thing that this game puts me in the mood for and puts me back in the mind is one of my personal tabletop gaming things I've always wanted to do was run what I call and what I've heard of other people call a Noble Houses game, where basically the reason why I've cottoned onto this idea is because I listened to some people talk about a game they ran that was inspired by the Game of Thrones novels, A Song of Ice and Fire, before the TV show was out. But just in general, those kinds of stories where the player characters are all members of a noble house with their territory and stuff, and the plot is just, okay, you got to run your house now. Spoiler warning to the future players. You're going to have a dad. We'll probably decide how good of a dad he is later. Your dad's pre-dead. You're going to have a dead dad. He's a doomed dad.
A dead doomed dad. A doomed dead dad.
Like there's there's no way we can set up this plot, and the only way you could get around it is if your dad is already somehow dead. And in that case, maybe you have a doomed uncle. Like it's there's a reason why that works as a story beat for these kinds of stories, is because you have one authority figure and then he has to get out of the way to let go of the new generation. But this is a thing that I've always been very interested in running because I like those kinds of stories, and I don't know. I think it's just a really fun setup to be like, okay, you guys are in charge of something, a land, a kingdom, a county, whatever you want to call it.
I mean, those sort of games are always up my actually, because having to rule them usually means having to do with logistics.
Yeah,
and I love that shit.
No, you're not all Clive. But definitely like that's kind of like the role this goes. But it could be broad. Like obviously it would work on a system where like, yeah, one of you could be kind of like Clive's role. A player character could be like Jill or the character archetypes, a hostage or a fostered other child family. My basic level of setup would be I would be an absolute gremlin and be like, I'm going to need you to pick your icon. You need heraldry, you need colors, and you need a motto. But like,
I love that kind of shit. By the way, I'm gonna pick a dragon
so do I.
every time. You cannot stop me.
Yeah, hey, if nobody wants to, if nobody has any better ideas, we can go for dragon.
Yeah,
we can make it work thematically. Dragons and many variations are very common in Medieval Herald. It's honestly, I think where we get so many weird dragons from fiction is a lot of people drew dragons a lot of different ways. You can go for the wyvern or Gwavir type thing. You can go dragon. You can go serpentine. Lots of things we could work on.
We should go.
But like, I would prefer it if a player character was the heir to the house. You're the one in nominal, because I think that just works better when you're all invested. With the counterpoint that if really nobody wanted to do that, I'd have two options. One, that would mean that for instance, if you designed a house where like you did, classic medieval male primogeniture, the eldest son inherits. That means your eldest brother is kind of a dingus or a ditz who can't get anything done on his own. That's why you guys are needed. Or it could be like, depending on how you guys, people sculpted this sort of thing. It could be a situation like Final Fantasy 16, where technically the heir to your house is like a Joshua. There's some kind of special quality where only this kid can inherit, but he's still a kid, and therefore he can't get anything done on his own, literally, because he is a babu or she is a babu. I don't know. You guys could pick out those details. And so obviously I've always kind of hunted for what I think the game would be for this. And just the other day I was thinking I needed to actually get out and read Rain, a One Roll Engine game. And I have now actually like gotten a copy of Rain to study, technically the second edition. And I think it's the game. You'll be familiar with this, and a couple of the other boys will be. It's got a pretty standard stat and skill structure like how Wild Talents is formatted for One Roll Engine.
Mhm.
Not all the same names for stats and skills, but similar in that vein. But also player characters can get access to special qualities like, I don't think I've ever run Nemesis for you, but I'm pretty sure I showed you the One Roll Engine Nemesis engine. The
Yeah, no, I
horror
have
one.
it.
Yeah. You can buy special qualities, right?
Yeah.
With points. So, you can be like, oh, I'm very pretty, or I have a unique thing. But there's also this system that reminds me of, actually, technically, I think it's even for old school. Actually, no, there are multiple levels, I think, in the second edition of 7th, but it reminds me of swordsman schools from 7th.
Oh,
They're
hell.
called esoteric disciplines. And so there are 5 levels to these of bonuses, which are like, maybe you're like some kind of tribal forest ninja. Maybe you're a blood mage. And there's like 5 tiers of this, which just give you little situational bonuses. Also, yes, the rules inherently, technically there's 2 books. I only have the core rulebook, not the setting book, because we'll just make up our own setting. I'll doodle a map and everything. But the Rain rulebook comes with shit like sorcery and counterspell, like as built-in default skills.
Mhm.
So magic is in it. And then, different schools of magic can be different things. And it has rules to build your own, which I love. Like, they give you a shitload of free examples, but then they're also like, and here's how you pick it. And they've even got a random chart so you can randomly roll all the abilities if you... So, like, already, really good player character customization. I looked at the tiers for point values, and I think the way I would run this, just to let everybody know, and because I like, brainstorming, I would probably start everybody in, like, a prologue at the lowest level of points, which is about 85 points, for, like, super beginners, and we do kind of like this game does, and do, like, a little bit of a softball prologue into a, an inciting incident kind of thing.
Oh, so will we actually play the incident where our dad dies or something?
Yeah, something like that. Like
Sick.
some kind of setup stuff to let you guys, get into your characters, establish some relationships, set up some plot hooks, and then we'd probably do like a few year time skip, and I would be like, okay, now you're at the 120 point tier, so you've got like 30 or 40 extra points to spend. Round out your characters. Just because I like that kind of story trick as well, and it does work for those kinds of games because you set up these stuff while you're young and go in. And then like everybody would be somehow members attached to this one house. Like I said, I would like an heir, but there's a lot of wiggle room. Like if you, Lucky, really wanted to focus on logistics, you could be master of coin, a trade minister, perhaps. Somebody could be your spookum spy master.
I mean, even
various
as the first heir, I
warriors,
could still,
librarians.
even as
Oh, I
the-
mean, yeah, no.
even
like,
as the- like I
if you
said,
played the house heir, go for it.
I mean, like I say, if no one else wants to do it, I'll do it in a fucking heartbeat.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I think
I know.
I mentioned about this. I'm missing playing my social face type characters.
Yes. Yeah.
Uh,
So much so you straight up designed an alternate character for Gensukai.
yeah.
You're feeling it. But yeah, no. And the reason why Rain works for this is because, so I talk about all that cool stuff you can do as player characters. Then there's these things that in the rules are called companies.
Companies.
Your company is your org, your organization.
Sick.
The game even explains that the rules can be anything. You can be a criminal gang, you can be a mercenary company, you can be a cult, you can be a country, a church, whatever. They have different like sizes which determine how many points you get, and your company has stats like treasure, territory, influence,
Ooh,
which
I love that shit.
measure how big you are at those things. And when you do something as your company, you look at those 2 stats and roll that many dice. So like if like for instance, I think like trying to like recruit more soldiers, improve your might is like based on like you roll like might plus influence, and the difficulty is based on what your might currently is. So the stronger your armies already are, the harder it is to recruit more guys, which I like. And there's like some you do for defenses, there's like if you want to resist subtle influences, it's like influence plus subterfuge or something, shit like that. Your company can have special qualities. You can have like secret infiltrators, you can have bonds with other companies and stuff like that. There's all kinds of random charts to determine stuff if you don't got that already. there's no real like mechanical limitation to the size there. I mean, like obviously the individual stats have limits and have meanings, but in general, it seems like picking whether you have mechanically a large, medium, or small company just kind of depends on what kind of game you're running. That might be a thing I would let you guys decide in a session 0 is like, how big a territory do you want to rule? If you're small, that means less resources, but also less people are probably invested in your shit. If you're big, that probably means you have more people after you because, you know, you have a fuck ton of money or land or soldiers or something. But yeah, like, I was just reading this along, and like I quoted this for the tabletop boys, but I already said that like I was like I think reading Rain will be fun at least because it's like one of the skills is just called run, you know, and it's like required equipment, a comfortable pair of shoes, and it's just it feels like it's the right kind of rule because most of our players are already familiar with one roll engine. ORE is a series of mechanics that is hard for me as the GM to fuck up. Well, yeah, and that's the other thing. Like, I would let you guys, you know, as usual. I'm getting really into with our current group doing session 0s and be like, okay, what kind of stuff you want? What are we talking about here? I'm personally imagining kind of like an island, you know, continent, you know, being whatever the reverse of landlocked is, you know. Maybe you can have, you know, multiple islands. Like obviously, you know, Valisthea is, you know, technically called the Twins because there's 2 islands. There's Storm and Ash. Shit like that. And then, you know, whatever kind of like biome lands you want to see, I would probably push for, even if it's a little unrealistic, some diversity. Like, you know, there should be like a little desert in the corner somewhere. There should be some volcanoes somewhere, you know, stuff like that. There should be a cold place. Because, you know, you can't have a Noble Houses Game of Thrones type game without some weird cold place. And, you know, we'd break it all up. We'd establish all the other, you know, after taking these ideas, I'd, you know, run up who all the other quote-unquote companies are, you know, all the other noble houses. I'm imagining it would be probably because, you know, of the Lost Belt 6 type tone I'm in right now as well. But I'm thinking something a little Arthurian, like there's probably a high king, you know, there's, depending on how big your territory is and what your like family history is like, you know, your leader of your house might be called a king or an archduke or something, but there's going to be a high king who all the other guys are supposed to, you know, respect and ally with. And how much of an asshole he is, I guess we'll have to see in world building. But yeah, I can slide you guys and upload the PDF to take a look at.
Yeah, I was about
like
to
said,
ask if you did.
I went through a pretty quick skim, and I'm just like, oh yeah, no, this is good. And shout out to Greg Stolze, great writer. Worked on World of Darkness, one of the primary writers on Unknown Armies. Did a lot of work in like Wild Talents actually, and some of the other One Roll Engine rules that they've done. I mean, I think some of this was because this was the second edition was Kickstarted, but there's a lot of great stuff in the rules. Like he added like at one point a chapter, and he says in the chapter description, like, you know, chapter 9. This is where I twist the rules so that if you want to, you can fight giant monsters because I realized that was a thing I could do. And I'm like, fuck yeah, Greg Stolze.
He knows what's up.
There's alternate rules for, you know, like, what you call it, very specific shipboard interactions. There's a couple different ways to do combat that I still need to like get into those chapters and study better. But like, there's normal run roll engine combat, and then there's like, hey, if you've got one of those groups, here's how you build hex maps and do that. We probably won't go that far just because that's a little harder on virtual tabletop. But like, I appreciate that there's a lot of optional. So yeah, I'll upload that to my G drive because it's probably too big for Discord. I can check, I guess, and circulate that. Obviously, you know, we're doing a lot of game stuff right now. You know, we're back in Gensakai for a decent foreseeable future. So I got at least one more session of this stuff in Tay. Because you guys like to roleplay. You like to talk. It's good. I still haven't... Gesundheit.
Excuse me, thank you.
I still haven't found my perfect sweet spot with our current group combo to actually like tighten things up to be like, I want this to last one session. It will last one session because, like I said, you guys like to bust out into role play, and shopping and stuff, which is pretty normal. So I haven't quite mastered my tactic yet. Like, I think for Star Wars, with that specific combination of characters and players, I was like, okay, I know this will take 1 session, or I'm like, this will take 2 sessions. I know it will. This one, I don't think I intended for Tay to take 3 sessions, but it kind of ended up there because, we got a lot. I had a very specific beat for Leona, and that took a while to get out, which I'm glad, because I was like sitting on that one for a while. And then, naturally that had you guys complicated, and that guy's got you thinking thoughts about like how long you're gonna. Oh, this is a great little section.
Man, you should have just let us leave. Now you're all gonna die.
I'm gonna beat you guys up.
We do have a lot of pre-fight banter. Hey guys, tornado.
Yeah, Aerial Blast's real funny.
Just listening. Torgal, get in there!
Get him, Torgal. But yeah, like,
Oh, yeah, you're already
so
here?
like,
Perfect.
I really wanted to do those, that, like I said, do some world building and character stuff, and it went all along. So we got some stuff to wrap up actually, and see how that goes. And then you've already thought of some stuff you might want to do to prep and some other adventures. And then, like I said, you guys have hard locked in plans to go to the Sapphire Isle for a couple of things. That one, I think I don't have the notes on that yet, but that one will probably be written to be of similar size of stuff to what ended up happening in Tay.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll probably be there for 2 or 3 sessions, depending. Because you've got to, I know you guys want to do a couple plot hooks and, like, talk to some people. Whoosh.
Can it be? Oh, it's my boy!
That's right. It him.
Wait, you survived!
Fuck yeah. This game's great, by the way. Game of the year. 10 out of 10. 100 out of 100. Yep, Sir Wade survived, and he's running a little resistance.
Wade!
Yeah.
My feelings! I'm sorry I just sent all your boys up in a tornado.
It's okay. The cuts at the end of this cutscene, you'll see them like rolling around on the floor in pain, so they're not dead.
We're okay.
Which is a detail I love that they had to add to be like, by the way, Clive, you didn't just kill all those guys. It's okay. I think Clive only kills guys he really doesn't like. But yeah, so like, it's funny how I thought that Rain, because I've listened to some actual plays, and I've heard people talk about Rain and stuff. Yeah, we're working on Mortis. Dallas plays Mortis correctly with that being his fear of his nemesis. Where like he tries to actively avoid moments for it. So we'll see those moments where he can slip in. Porter doesn't really have a life to come back at him per se, more than just like Porter exists in a constant state of possibly referencing old stuff.
Yeah.
Like I usually approach whenever I want to hook Porter other than just being like, look, shiny thing, edible thing, shiny edible thing. It's mostly just like I just pepper into like some people may have met a Porter before. It's like Sheena Tigerfist, the monk with the heavenly maidens was like she didn't personally ever meet Porter, but she remembers these stories about Kinbuta causing some kind of shenanigans at her temple that nobody will really speak of. So I just say, yeah, whatever you think those shenanigans were.
Yeah, and I'm completely fine with that.
Like that's just kind of how I play Porter as a backstory thing usually.
Yeah, I think I mentioned like when I send out letters, Porter's just gonna be sending out letters to Longu. It's like, who? Don't actually know, but he knows people there. That actually what got me thinking about my playing a phase character, because Axe, I forget, what does your character's heroic ability do? It lets you like just gather information anywhere,
yeah,
isn't it?
Clue one.
Yeah, no, like I was thinking, it's like, man, I should have got that and just says, I should have picked that one and called it like something like, I know a guy, or
And I think there might be a slightly different variant for like, because specifically the one Leona has, allows you to learn factoids through special sense.
oh, okay.
There might be another one for like knowing and finding people.
Well, yeah, no, but I was like, man, I should have picked something like that just to like better flesh out my like, yeah, I know, I've just been about everywhere, and I like, I have friends in every town. But I was just like, I really wasn't thinking about it. It's always one of those things like the first character you always make is never particularly as fine tuned as you want. It's not until you actually start playing it and whatnot.
Yeah. No plan survives contact with the player characters, including your own player
Yeah.
character. Like we go through all the stuff. And this is kind of like I said, why I'm imagining a like prologue section for this hypothetical Rain game where I'm like, yeah, I would want to like give you a chance to like feel out your characters at kind of like a younger formative age, set up some plot hooks, establish some relationships, and then give you guys some extra points to be like, and then where do you go from here? You've rolled some dice. What do you feel like now?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like I said, we're working on Gensekai for the foreseeable future. We'll rattle around some stuff for the Sapphire.
I will probably quickly make a fucking Rain character just because I can.
Yeah. Like I said, I know a couple of you have talked about, because you're all casters now. A couple of you have talked about either giving or attending guest lectures, so I'll probably put some notes for that. I have a couple of little opportunities to maybe scratch some stuff off some people's bucket lists. I know that Rion specifically wants to do something about that staff.
Yep.
I need to ask him if he still has that character's name, because it's been like months and months since I wrote that plot hook. I might have to go back, either rename that NPC the daughter of the guy he's going to meet, or go way back in my notes to find it if he doesn't have it jotted down. But like, there's some stuff there, and that might dial into some other opportunities. Throw a dungeon at you,
I imagine this endeavor will require more than just our wits.
Then let's hope Sir Wade has a good quartermaster.
You're gonna have to be more specific about that. You know a lot of guys.
I suppose we owe you our thanks.
But yeah, I also don't want to necessarily call an end to red markets yet. Like, obviously, we've kind of had our growing pains back and forth, but there's still definitely some more stuff we could do there. But, like, the Rain thing.
No, I think I'm a bit, like, nothing against red markets, but I think I have had my fill of it, personally. Like I said, this is
And that's okay. I'll ask the other guys if they feel like that. I know Aaron was also kind of felt similarly.
And it's like I don't think it's a bad game, but like I said, like I have started making my own using Red Market, the ideas that Red Market has, and building upon them. And so I want to focus more on getting those feelings like out and on paper.
I think they're still Patreon locked, but I know that recordings have started going out for playtests of the second edition, so that's like well underway. So maybe when the second edition comes out, we'll check back in.
Yep,
that
sounds good.
We'll see. Because it's a game I've always liked conceptually, and I don't mind scratching the itch. And as this is a thing you've been discussing in your own game design, as we've learned, for me, player facing roles are really good.
Yeah.
Like, what's that? As I think evidenced by the few GM facing roles I have to do, when I'm always like, oh no, I rolled one zombie 6 shamble away. Whatever will you do?
You did that twice.
Yes, no. I think there was one time I was actually like, oh, there's like 3 of them, 2 shambles away. Ha ha. And you still took care of them because you guys are pretty competent, but still, yeah, like it's that game is so designed to have like that instant tension ratchet. I really like it for that, but we have kind of explored most of the stuff you can do besides if you guys wanted to start small business stuff, which like I think even by Caleb's own admission is like, yeah, that probably should have been a supplement. That was just like, I was thinking, about economic theory and like what do players do if they want to become, suppliers and shit, and not like what's the best game for the gamey parts. Yeah, so I think we've covered most of the stuff. So we could work on other alternates to do between runs.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, this hypothetical Noble Houses game would require some setup because I would do a session 0 where we world build and think of characters, and like, you guys design your house and I have to go away and think of all the other houses and like doodle a map, shit like that.
Omega, this might sound unfair to him, but I am not playing Brain with Dallas. I am not.
All right. Well, Loth said he might have a character involved.
All right.
Get Loth back involved if he's free.
That'd be good.
That's fair. I don't dislike Dallas as a player, but it is interesting to see kind of his rapid fire style of things. In some ways, I feel like Dallas's character in Gensekai getting access to flight is like the best and worst thing, because it always allows him to just fucking yeet himself out of a situation, but also it feels like, you know, he'd be in there. And no, yeah, if you only got here later, I'm thinking of a Game of Thrones type thing. So like, obviously, it's cool if you guys are family, and to kind of damp down on PvP stuff, I would be like, you're not just family, you guys are anime family. That guy, that's your brother. Your brother. He's your Aniki. You know, we don't fuck with that. But you do not have to literally all be siblings. You could be, you know, cousins from like cadet families or branches. It's a very common trope to be like a hostage or a fosterling from another family.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think Dallas does do practical stuff, but yeah, he's definitely here for the. You can tell Dallas is. I don't know if Dallas thinks of himself as a theater kid, but I think of Dallas as a theater kid, and you can tell sometimes.
Well, no, the problem I have with Dallas is he'll say I'm doing a thing and not actually think on how he's doing a thing.
Yeah.
I teleport in front of them all. You haven't cast a spell. All right. Hey, so I teleported in front of them all. You didn't cast a spell, Dallas. Literally happened.
I mean, that's just the normal forget and receive. He's like, oh right, no, I couldn't do that. That's what I wanted to do. Yeah, you still have to move. I remember that conversation. I wasn't really frustrated about that one. It was just like, no, Dallas, you didn't actually move. He's like, oh right, I did not do that.
It wouldn't have been frustrating if it hadn't been literally a minute ago.
The part that we had to have a hard, you know, me and Dallas and even the rest of the group had to have a little bit of a hard discussion about was like his access to the teleportation talent, where he was like, well, no, it doesn't say I have to have been there. And I'm like, no, it does not say that, but it says it has to be a place you know about. And I am going to interpret that very strictly, because hearing the name of a town doesn't count as knowing it.
I don't like, on a more neutral, I feel like Dallas plays his character via his talents. If that makes sense. Like, he can teleport, so he will usually consider most of his. Oh, I didn't get it right. He'll usually consider most of his solutions via using his things. Like, when I asked him the other day, like, what his plan was for dealing with the Black Outer Brotherhood who were harassing the girl, he says, "Oh, I was just gonna use my terrifying on them." I was just like, he went like, you know, immediately for using a skill or using a talent to solve his problem.
And I mean, if he didn't have Fearsome, he might have just thought to use his coercion ability to intimidate them. But that is kind of like, Dallas likes his multi-classing and his weird building. And so I think he has actually put a lot of work into like building his character this particular way to do these particular things. But you are right in that he you know, thinks about those things as well.
Yeah.
I don't think that his normal ability should be deteriorating. Like, he still does stuff. And mostly it's just Candel's roll dice. And he keeps up on his skills as well. It's just what Lucky's saying is Dallas is thinking of things. What is the phrase that Powered by the Apocalypse uses? It's fiction first. He's not thinking very fiction first. He usually thinks of in the context of like, I'm going to do a thing because I want to proc my ability to teleport to flicker step, to flash step, because I think it would be really cool and Batman-esque for me to just appear in front of them in a cloud of mist. Because like, I don't want to say Dallas doesn't have fiction, doesn't have narrative elements, right?
No, he has plenty of narrative elements, but he usually does that narrative elements by using something from his abilities. Yes,
he has a mechanical ability and then thinks about how that looks in the narrative, which is fine, but it's definitely like I said.
Yeah,
it's
no, I
not
don't think it's
fiction
necessarily
forward.
bad. It's just one of those things I have noticed about Dallas and how he plays.
Like, and I'll say this: it's not everybody's perfect. Not to like. I know you don't want to be unnecessarily called out, Axe. This is not a call out, but like the way Axe plays characters is also usually fairly mechanics first, but that's more because Axe as a person, I think, has a harder time like emotifying some of his deeper character stuff. And when we're doing just role playing, when there's no mechanics involved, he is perfectly fine at that. You know, if he has a character's voice, he can do character stuff as that character. It's just that when we're in a combat, like Axe is very concerned with efficiency and not being a useless dingus. So he is like, okay, character-wise, I really want to hit this guy with my sword, but that's not going to do anything, so I'm going to shoot him with my bow. And it's like, whatever, you know? Whereas I know people, and, you know, like I said, I'm not afraid to name names. This is the thing I associate with both Lucky and with Loth. I know people who play games who are not afraid to shoot themselves in the foot because they think it will be more interesting or funnier or just that is the thing they would do. I'm like you and Loth are both willing to admit this thing I'm about to do is dumb. It's what I want to do and is what I would be doing in the situation. And like I said, Dallas isn't afraid of that either, but I don't know. Maybe it's because Dallas spends a lot of his time on the other side of the screen, but Dallas likes to think of these things in terms of like, no, I can definitely fly there because I can fly. And it's like, yeah, you can fly. And like, there's other times, and I mentioned it as well. Like, he's like, oh, I can fly like 90 feet. And I'm like, I don't actually know where you think you got this number from. I don't think it says a number specifically in terms of flight. I just know that the rules do say if you have the flying ability, you know, you are not necessarily bound by the normal maneuver limitations because you can fly. You're supposed to be able to go pretty far, whatever your GM thinks is reasonable, you know. Oop, that is a note it has somewhere. Yeah, like I said, Axe, you have a deep psychological aversion to being useless and not doing anything, which I understand, having had fights where I did not do things and it sucked. That's you just don't want to be in that position. So I understand how like
I cut off your ankle.
You do let you'll let the mechanic beats overrule the character, and I don't think it's bad. Nice.
That's actually something interesting. I'm thinking I'm gonna try with my if for ever some reason we do another Jinsekai game and I do get to play my fucking Foxkin scoundrel. He's probably actually gonna be very shit at combat and not actually do a lot in there. And I think that's gonna be an interesting thing because I am going to be focusing a lot on social stuff. So,
and it works. And there are provisions so that you are not like completely useless in a fight, but you definitely will not have the same result. You know, like doing scathing tirade over and over again that you would being like, and now I cast a spell where I all of my enemies explode into confetti.
But boy howdy, I'm gonna make sure. Actually, that was actually something I was gonna. Well, I was gonna ask about. How do you feel about like, what's the term? I don't. I guess I should say like money making focused, you know, play. I guess like mercantile play. And
there are a few options for it in Jinsekai. Like merchant is one of the universal specs.
Yeah, no, I was looking at it and I was like. This came about because like if people know a little bit, like one of the big things I want to do in our current game is I want to get a flying island and stick a whole bunch of buildings on it and fly it around and be like, yeah, woo. And Omega does have rules for putting down your own structures and the costs, and the costs are big. It's a lot of money.
It's meant to be a money sink.
It's about to be a money sink, but I was like also considering things like. All right, well, how am I going to make a lot of money? And the quick answer is you basically stack some talent so you can buy really cheap and sell really high, and you just do that constantly. I'm just like, But then I was like,
or you can some of the default. You say that could start throwing more money at us. I've already started like cycling higher throwing money, but it's kind of weird because you guys are still in that phase of the game where you ping pong between I'm fucking broke or I have more money than I know what to do with.
I think that's mostly just Dallas because I'm pretty sure he doesn't actually write down all his purchases.
Sometimes I think that happens. Dallas also has kind of a back and forth where I do respect this, like, because we had this conversation about do you use all the things you do. Dallas will absolutely buy something, go 2 sessions and go, I don't need this anymore, and just sell it again. So like some of that definitely is he does inventory rotation, and he may have just forgotten some stuff that he's thrown away. Then
I think so. It's not that big a deal, but it's just a thing of like. I was thinking about, like, if I wanted to buy a keep, that's like 50K. I'm all like, was it 50K? I think it was 50K. But
it's something like that.
It was something like that. It's like a lot. It's like, all right, if I want to feasibly do this, as I look at me having like 5K right now. Actually, no, wasn't it more than 50K? Hang on, let me pull up Jinsekai real quick.
It might be a little more. Let me also
Jinsekai!
I want to check the pay scale. Because I think there are a couple of, like, I mean, obviously they're more difficult because, risk equal reward, but there are a couple of example quest types that are like, default pay without accounting for other weirdness, and extra loot is like 10K or 20K.
Yeah!
So there's some higher level stuff in there.
I got another patch to put on my leather jacket!
Yep.
My heart! Let's see, where
Well, and that is the thing that Lucky talked about. Having skill and talent focus to buy low, sell high is important for some stuff.
Yeah.
Let's see, guild pay scale.
Like, that's gonna be the focus of Kin, my Foxkin scoundrel, who's just gonna be usually carrying a bunch of stuff so he can sell from town to town and make lots of money. But let me see here. I know I'm in the structures area. Where the hell is it? Additional rules. Strongholds and structures. There it is.
Table 16.
How much was a keep? Oh, it was just 50K.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so there is a legendary hunt for a single job is worth 15K.
That ain't bad.
So like there's some wiggle room to like there's some big money options.
Is that my heart or someone's foot beat?
Not account for like ludum or scutums. Oh, those are footsteps.
Okay. Those are big, heavy footsteps. It's like my controller is shaking slightly.
Yeah.
And he has an axe. He's going to axe us a question.
It's Unky time.
I love this shot.
Surprised when I was told my nephew had come to visit. Clive Rosfield died long ago.
I like his face design. It's round, but like it's rosy in the cheek. Sorry, I want to watch this.
No, it's fine. I'll let it play out. It's a good scene.
It is I, Sir Crandall of Camelot, loyal servant to Her Serene Holiness, Saint Sybil the Unshard. Madu, thou vile sorcerer, for thy crimes against church and crown, I shall have thy head.
Oh.
Curse thee, infectious flax wench. Even in death must thou plague me still? Very well. I shall open the gates of hell, that thou might see thy...
Oh, he's crying.
Emotions.
Bravo, Uncle. You're still the finest Madu
Poor Jill is just, what the fuck is happening?
No, she's having a great time. It's a good uncle.
Gunkle, yes. Rich uncle, too. Hugs. Yeah, we're gonna let that one just play out. It has been a while since I put my Gensakai hat on. There are still a few like NBCs to do, but I could also. I think there's some rough ideas for like bulk trade.
Mm-hmm.
But that's another thing I could probably add to my appendix notes as well. There's probably some subsystems from Star Wars and stuff I could steal for bigger shipping and whatnot. Because it is probably a question of like, okay, so guild jobs pay good, but are there other ways to make good money?
Yeah,
and there could be.
There could be.
And it would probably just be a simple system of like, okay, how much encumbrance you got? Are you buying low and selling high? Okay, here you go.
Well, like something like you really haven't really covered is like how like caravans or things like and all that stuff. Because that's how I was thinking about. Like, I get a wagon, I just buy generic, common goods or luxury goods. Try to buy them low, and then I do the thing where I go to a town, probably one with. Actually, I forgot. Does Gensakai have the cost modifier when the rarity changes? I forget. Yeah. Well, then you buy a lot in a town with a low rarity modifier, and then you take it to a town that has like a higher rarity modifier, so you can get. Might be a little hard to sell, but you can get a bit more gold out of it. Like, I think there's there's already a good like mercantile system in Gensakai, but the thing is actually I'm gonna pause because I do actually want to pay attention to this.
Yeah, it is a little bit of a long scene.
But the thing is those are one of those things that can take up a significant part of a session. We already talk a lot about how just shopping in general takes a while. No one knows why. I don't think anyone's ever really not doing anything. Like, usually someone's like looking for something, buying something, selling something. We're marking things down. We're confirming what our people are getting stuff. It always takes a while. If you actually add the point of, figuring out how much of you are buying and selling just so you can buy and sell somewhere else, that adds even more time. And I always feel a little bit weird about trying to do something like that because, again, that will just eat into more playtime. Because usually people, me personally, I'm for that shit. Let me just sit down with the fucking ledger, calculate some costs and see where our potential profits can go. It's like, we'll use that, our profits to buy even more stuff to sell next time and just, keep that coin flowing in. But other people aren't necessarily here, like, for that kind of game. This is why I'm literally designing my own game because, like, no, I love that shit. I'm going to do more of it.
Yeah, and that's definitely, I think, like, putting it in one of my appendixes in my GM book is probably where it would go as just like, hey, if your players want to focus on this kind of stuff, here's some rules. I would probably keep them streamlined, like you said. It's mostly the basic principle is going to be buy low, sell high, and just be like, hey, remember how the rarity chart works, and probably just come up with like I said, because I'm pretty sure Star Wars had some ideas for this, where I just come up with some simple like modifiers for like, and here's how bulk costs work. How much encumbrance do you have in your vehicle? How much cash you got? Okay, there you go. You've bought 40 pounds of grain. Sell it here, buy it there, and just see where we go, and try and keep it a little, simplified and stuff. And the main thing is just this is something that you could do off camera, or you could do while other people are talking. I think like part of it, I think, is just like it's just kind of the thing, it's like, oh, why does combat take so long? Well, it's usually because everybody is going one at a time, and even when we're all thinking about what we're doing, we've got, this complication and that complication and numbers and lots of rolls and lots of math. Shopping's kind of the same. Like, yeah. Good uncle. He's been a terrible liar.
God damn it, Jill.
It's not untrue.
Oh, I love the music right here.
Yeah, it's so good. All the app. Soken is and his team. I assume he was working with quite a lot of people to make all of these fucking soundtracks work. You know, what was the part where I remember in an interview he thought he was only going to write 300 tracks for this and did 400 or something.
Yeah.
But like the way this game can go from like action themes to dramatic themes to, like I said, field music is so good. Love the orchestrion and the hideout to just like pick and choose
God
a few
damn
things.
it, Byron. Oh, I love him.
I know. He's like a non-entity in the story until now, but then he just literally slams the door out and you're like, fuck yeah, uncle, let's go. My uncle is the best. So good.
Ax,
Yeah,
I
like I
do
said,
I do like trying doing things offline, but the problem with doing things offline is not everyone is always immediately available to handle such things, and it is more difficult to get everyone together.
Yeah, when everybody is in a market town and we're all going shopping, yes, we could handle that off camera, but we're all on camera, you know, as it were. We're in the scene, so we could do the thing. And I think that is part of the exchanges, like, you know, there's the math and stuff involved, and there's times where, like, again, not like as a dig, but Axe, you often work this way because you're usually trying to get the most bang for your buck. That's the efficiency thing you like. There are times, you know, when you're like, okay, this is my budget. I need somebody to roll good for me to afford all these things I want right now. You know, as opposed to like, you know, just being like, oh, well, I guess I have enough. Like, Dallas, you know, sits on his money a lot because he's kind of up and down. And he is technically correct that he doesn't always have to get as many incidentals as you guys do.
Yeah, he does not. He does not sleep, eat, drink, worry about poison.
Yeah. And I think he worries less about some healing items because, you know, he has slightly different stuff going on. He does still buy energy potions and suck them up because, well, he be casting. Sorry, I was just enamored by the depth of field for a second there. So you got Jill in the foreground and then Clive in the background, and then you've got this fire in the background.
Oh, they used the rule of threes. Sick. Every bit uses basically a third of the focus.
Yeah, that's another thing. People I think have been talking up a lot, but the fucking cinematography in this game is amazing. Like,
I was actually thinking about this earlier when Byron walks in. It focuses on the head of the axe. It's just like, yeah. Oh man, so many things.
Like, obviously, a decent amount of this was mocap, so they did have like frame of reference for all these people, but like, I assume most of the props were not in there. So like, the cinematography team did a lot of work to make sure everything is like properly in focus. Like there, we just did a slow pull in on Jill. You know, she's backlit by the moon a little bit, but also the firelight in the front, so you've got kind of that interplay. And then like this is just a drama scene. Like when we get to action framing, they're also really good at that.
Yeah, no, we're using a lot of close-in. We're using a lot of close-ups here.
Yeah, and then we pull out to show the hands, and then we snap to. Because that's a thing you actually do in TV when you want to focus on actors talking. Shot, reverse shot.
I must atone for my sins.
Like,
Only then.
and again, I don't know how much of that was Yoshi P himself or like individual on the team. Like, I'm sure they have I know for a fact they have a whole cinematics unit, but like, you know, probably have a cinematics director. But it's all just, it's real good work here. Beautiful shot. I love the interplay that you can see, like, their height difference, because Jill's partially blocking the moonlight on Clive.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's real good.
Togo,
Shit,
they are
I didn't even think
eternal.
of that. I didn't even think about that the first time. That's right. Yeah, there's a little bit of wind in this shot. I just saw, like, Clive's hood jittering a little. I'm like, oh, nice. Little touches. Anyway, yeah, shopping. It takes a lot of time. One, because we were all easily distractible, but two, a lot of it just has to do with, like, everybody wanting to be ready to do more, get more, and like, I was trying to think. I was about to say I could probably make it go faster by blah blah blah, but I'm like, wait. The thing I'm about to say, I think, is a thing I do usually. I do usually go down and be like, hey, you got all your stuff? You got all your stuff? Like, usually I check in with everybody. I could make it much more explicit, like, what do you want to buy? But even then, there's still like, because of there's math and stuff and decisions, you know, and meaningful choices, sometimes people aren't ready for that, right? Like, you're like, well, I could buy this or I could buy that. So what the fuck do I do? You know, and we got to like cycle away and come back. And this is honestly why I don't often, like, especially with EXP and stuff, I don't begrudge you guys, doing a lot of your EXP expenditures off camera and even cycling, switching back and forth between what you want to do with your purchases. Similar to the way the economy and red markets work, like, I would just be like, okay, you guys got bounty. I'm not doing no budget, no buy. Pick whatever. Because I don't want to give anybody an anxiety attack. This is a fun one.
It's like he's lost his spark, you know? But I'm thinking he might if we both bent his ear, because he respects.
But yeah, like, it's a thing that I thinking about it, you're right in that, like, obviously fluff wise, I have described that, like, caravans are a thing. Escort duty is right there on the list. There's basic stuff going on. There's, carts and wagons you can purchase. There's, talk of trade caravans and nomads. That's a big thing, like the Neftu, right? Some of them are completely nomadic. There's stats in the NPC block for, like, caravan guards, So it's like, but if a player wanted to actually be like, okay, we're going to upgrade from just guarding this caravan to running our own caravan. We've bought a wagon. We want to do something with that. You are right. They're like, no, I didn't actually write some rules like that. That's where game design comes from. This is why Gensakai has been in beta for like 5 years, is because I am one man. It's hard for me to think of everything. Some of this shit only comes out through playtesting and asking questions.
Oh, here's the Berserker ring you were talking about.
Oh, there it is. Yeah,
I got it from a courtesan.
that's right. It's a renown unlock. That's right. But yeah, just a fun little thing. Okay, so I did. Hold on. We did hit locate. We did hit share, right? Okay, copy the link.
Oh, you're getting Rain up?
Yeah, I uploaded it while we were talking, and I'm like, oh,
Sick.
right. Did I set that to share? Yeah, let's go there. But yeah, so like, there's it's just one of those things that I don't know why it is the way it is. I've got. Oh, actually. Will the link change if I move where this is? Because technically it's in the wrong folder. Hopefully it still works. But, like, that's just something I've learned because I've been, running and playing games for over 10 years. And it's like, shopping takes a while. Some people really, really like shopping to take a while. They, like, really like to get in the nitty-gritty. They like to bounce with the shopkeepers. That's kind of a thing I sometimes like to sprinkle in as the GM is like, where the fuck you buy this from? But also on some levels, it's like, man, this takes a while anyway. Like, if you guys don't care to like necessarily bounce at the shopkeepers, we'll figure it out. I mean, sometimes it's funny because like there have been times where like Rion will go out looking for something weird Leona needs for thief stuff, and be like, all right, so you talk to a weird shady guy under a bridge, and he always sounds like this. He does. But there's it's like I said, an interesting one. It's an odd one. But yeah, I can work on some stuff. Luckily, this kind of stuff. Well, I admit I'm not to the super deep in the game design phase for Shadow Wizard game. That probably will not be an overtly thing. Like, obviously, real world problems will matter, but I doubt I'm gonna have to make a chart of like, here's what the average cost of living is in America. We'll probably have to abstract that a little bit. Like, maybe make that like your income or wealth level, and maybe another like die type factor you can size up. So
Torgo's
like,
back there.
Oh yeah. By the way, that's the thing I love. As you progress in the main story, Torgo just moves around. Sometimes he's back behind the counter. Sometimes he's in front of the counter.
Yeah, no, last time he was over here, and now he's like there. Well, Lady Charon did take care of him, apparently, so it's all like...
Yeah, she still feeds him, gives him little bones to nibble on, to chew.
The thing that's weirding me out a little bit is... I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but I don't feel like I'm really moving my equipment around a lot. I think I've had this fucking demon slash. Like, let's see here. Yeah, no, I've had the Meteon bond since I got my outfit change, and then I found like this demon tamer slash, and it's just been fine. I haven't found anything better than these 2 items right now, and I'm just all like, I feel like I'm
Yeah,
due for
that happens. I think I was at that similar curve in the story. Like, you're all waiting for like either Charon to get new shit or Blackthorn to get new upgrades to like shape stuff. I do appreciate. I think I talked about this last week, but it's a thing that's interesting about like making your choices. Like your purple tier unique gear, you can't really upgrade. I do like that your special boss weapons do use the previous version, so it like implies that they rotate through upgrades, which is nice. You know, so you're not covered in 4 different swords all the time. But generally, you know, only your white or green items can actually be upgraded to like +1 or +2. I don't think it goes above +2. I haven't seen it. But then there are also, you know, unique things you can get. You can go through some stuff. So it's kind of a thing you can keep in mind for your. But yeah, there's definitely like, you are right. There are some odd lulls where you will go a while without upgrading your equipment. And then, you know, you hit one main scenario quest, and you've got like 3 new fucking things you can buy or upgrade.
Karen and I have an arrangement.
Yeah, I guess that is like, again, it's one of those things where like I don't know if it's good or bad. The pacing in this game is definitely kind of specific. Like, I don't know if it's for better or worse, but there are moments where like I kind of go on a lull as far as like item upgrades, or like honestly, you will be going a while before you get your 4th icon. You have a few story beats to work through for that one.
Mm-hmm.
So like there's these lulls where like it's not like stuff isn't happening, but new like mechanical stuff doesn't happen to you. Oh, I bet there's got to be a super boss, especially with this game's action pedigree.
Blackthorn's always taken pride in his craft.
There's got to be some crazy shit later. I mean, I know there's like trials and stuff, like I said. But yeah, like I said, for Shadow Wizard money game, I'll probably just be like, you have a wealth score. Is it a D4, D12, whatever? But I'll probably put a note because I like this thematic idea of the bill coming due of like, hey, if you have more money, you got to be careful about spending it because you might reduce it.
Mm-hmm.
That is also technically true. There are some hunts that are like A and S rank you can unlock way before you're the appropriate level for them, so you can fight them very early. I don't know if there's optional dungeons. There are optional challenges. Dungeons there might not be. But like, this is a thing because you were also discussing about your game design you're working on right now, your survival game, and like how it should be player facing or not, and what that means, and like what kind of options the GM has. And you know, the way I think you phrased it was, no offense to Omega, but I've seen you roll as GM lately, and I'm just thinking about future shit, and I'm like, no, I agree. Games are like that sometimes. So, like, I was trying to think, like, how would I do for my own game ideas for this game? How would I do that manipulation? And I'm like, I like the idea of for bad guys, for antagonists, and especially for like nasty villains, they can always get more juice from nefarious forces if they need it. They can always, you know, punch up, get bigger dice, etc. Because they're not always concerned with the bill coming due as you might be as a player character.
Mm-hmm.
But also I was like, that's totally an appropriate like urban fantasy ending if like one way to beat the boss is basically to stall them out until they summon something too big and dangerous and it just eats them. And I'm like, I wonder if I can make that a mechanic. I'm not exactly sure how yet, but I bet I can make some kind of like danger debt track where basically you just play keep away with the boss until he eventually, you know, uses too much power and it's really bad for him or her or thems. Because, you know, tabletop games are very, very diverse and very broad, guys. There's a lot of stuff you can do.
Yeah.
And yeah, we've been going for like 2.5 hours, Lucky. If you want to talk about any of that stuff, we can do that. Or we could probably just go home and play more Final Fantasy 16. You're still cooking.
I am still. Oh, let me ask about Griffin Sidons.
Yeah, so this is one of those cases, like I said, where your objective marker will stay on the hunt board even after he tells you, what it's called, Dosmea, and you'll look at the hunt board and you'll see where it is. So you're just gonna have to go out there and find it yourself.
Carnot Westgate, Sandbrick, and then Clairview, Sandbrick. Okay.
And it's you've only got C and B ranks, so it's just kind of okay.
Do you think you particularly mind if I talk a little bit about the game I'm designing?
No, go for it. I'm asking for it. Go for it.
Yeah, no. So the name's still in workshop, by the way. I have never been really good at naming things, but it's like I'm banding around a few things. Like maybe the keywords involving Red Mist, Wasteful, or Scavs and Slayers. Trying to get some punch in there. But basically the basic of my game is we are in a post-apocalyptic world. At one point, there was an incident involving a bunch of red mist popping up suddenly and turning a lot of people into fucking zombies, which basically caused the collapse of a lot of things. You're playing in that post-mist world, and while there are, government-run enclaves that are keeping things kind of together, most of the world has returned to a more primitive sort of lifestyle. So player characters will usually be someone who goes out into the waste, as I call them, to either kill something or to, find something. I decided that I'm going to make this system into a D6 pool because, funnily enough, I have really fond memories of Shadowrun and just how it feels just to throw a bunch of D6 on the ground. Not on the ground, on the table. And then,
it's a feeling. It's a very specific feel to have a fistful of D6s.
Yeah. And this is my first point of contention. I didn't want to make this a roll off against the GM because playing with Omega, not talking about his roles, but I played various systems of them, with Powered by the Apocalypse, Red Markets, and other such things. I've kind of gotten to the philosophy that a GM, since they are the one directing this story, if a GM wants to do something, they should succeed at that something. And it is on the players to change, to influence or change that decision. But like I said, this is where sideways look at Omega. But if the dice don't want to play with the GM is getting basically flummoxed out of their own story, and I think that's a little weird, personally. So the system that I'm going to be using for Red Mist here, I think I'll just call it Red Mist for now. For Red Mist here is that players have their D6 die pool, and the GM will set a difficulty, and that difficulty will automatically set a number of dice in that player's pool to failures. Well, not to failures. That's wrong. Actually, shit. Now, was it the failures?
Well, previously when we talked about this, you talked about removing dice from your roll. So
yeah, removing dice from the rolls. That's right. And then after that, you have to just get a success. So basically, your dice pool will be shrunk, and the way that the success works is that 1, 2s, and 3s are failures, 4 and 5s are successes, and then 6s are what I'm calling fortune successes, which is the exploding dice rule, which means you get to take that dice and roll it again.
I love exploding dice. There's just something that's so nice about getting, whether it's, D10s, D6s, whatever, just getting your fistful of dice rolling. I'm seeing you've got some toppers and hold up, let me roll those again.
Mm-hmm. The idea of it is that by removing dice from your pool, if you do not have a big enough pool, that means you are not as strong, skilled, powerful, what have you, as the opposition, and you will just automatically fail. And if you are stronger, there is still a chance you can fail, but it is still generally in your favor. I was gonna say something after that, because like part 2 of my GMing philosophy is I want my players to struggle but not suffer. This is the thing. I want my players to have to think, work hard, and overcome adversity before they get the reward, and not necessarily be able to breeze through every encounter just by piling up a bunch of numbers and just cruising through it. I don't like that. So that's why removing. I'm hoping this is the intent, is by removing, just straight up removing their dice. I can I can get that
sensation where it's like by using the difficulty setting initially, it seems like you're aiming for, like, you basically have that gut check of like, okay, I want to do this. Can I do it? I have, 5 dice. Well, it's difficulty 5, so, or maybe 6 would be better because of other stuff. But
Mhm.
it's going to take a lot out of you. Or still be going like, well, it's only difficulty 4. You've only got 5 dice, so you still got like a 50-50 shot at doing it.
Mhm.
It's tough, but you can do it. And that's, just kind of how it goes.
Yeah, it goes. Like I said, I have to playtest it. I'm like, this is going to be the thing. It's going to be one of the things that actually has to be playtested, because I'm not entirely sure how those run. Because I don't think I've ever run a system like that.
Yeah, and definitely, I think the main thing probably is going to be like amount of dice, right? Like trying to figure out how many points, pips, dots, whatever players have in stuff and things to roll things. Because, like, strictly speaking, I think there's an argument for simplifying mathematics of games, but strictly speaking, you can adjust numbers to do whatever you need to. Like, in a technical sense, a rolling a d20 and rolling a d100 is just, making your numbers divisible by 5, basically. But percentiles, have more wiggle room, right? They have more gray area because you are literally have a percentile system. And, rolling 2 dice as opposed to rolling 1 die gives you, funny things you can do, like doubles, etc. So hypothetically, depending on if you really want to keep all your system structure, all you need to do is just set your numerals right. Like, it's gonna come down to playtesting for what you think feels right with, like, how much dice you roll, how difficult things are, because it may be that for the feel you're going for and the amount of points you want to give players and stuff, it could end up being like having a difficulty of just 1 or 2 is like, oh, whoa, I'm losing 2 out of my dice. That's big. Or it could be shit where it's like, if your numbers are adjusted right and you're assuming that you're going to be taking dice out anyway, you could be something like where, your difficulty range could go from like 1 to 10, kind of a thing. And that's something you're only going to figure out by, like, actually playtesting, designing rules, looking at stuff, and even if it's just like thought experiment playtesting, actually like rolling some dice, sorting it out, and seeing what feels good.
Yeah.
And as a person who's homebrewed, I'm a warn you, you're gonna think you've got some ideas, you're gonna have some stuff going on, you're gonna hand this stuff to players, and they're gonna come to you with some weird stuff you didn't think about yet.
Oh, I'm expecting that.
Oh, swag. Trigger just released a new PV for Pantheon Stalking.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot they were doing that.
Yeah, they're doing that revival. There's also a new trailer for,
Dungeon Meshi?
Yeah, Delicious in Dungeon Meshi. Yeah, it's coming to Netflix, so that's nice too. But also, yeah.
Right now, I am thinking of it's probably going to be on a 10 difficulty scale, because I do believe that the way that players will initially set their pool is from stat and skill. I guess
Classic.
Yep. So probably, like, normally most difficulty classes will probably be on a 1 through 10 scale and remove dice accordingly. The other big focus I want in my game, though, is is quote unquote stuff. Like, I love gear. I love gear porn. I love seeing what gear can do. I love carrying a bunch of gear. I like making gear, all that stuff. This is something I'm not necessarily quite like figured out what I want, how I want gear to work exactly. Because I want gear to usually give you some sort of a mechanical bonus or give you some sort of narrative bonus. Basically, you want gear to do something. The problem is what I'm trying to figure out is if I wanted to have gear just give extra dice so you can have bigger pools, or like have gear be like more specific. Like maybe it just gives you an automatic success. Maybe it lets you explode on 5s as well as 6s. You know, maybe it moves like certain things around. Like I'm not entirely sure what I want to do there yet. And
honestly, I think all of those things work as potentials. You know, that can be a thing you can leave open to give options. I will say, actually, this is something I think that you may find inspiring to actually read in Rain. Rain has a lot of like either how you design your own, you know, special abilities or special company stuff, and random charts. And so it talks a lot about like how you get specific bonuses. So like, you know, some of the things it does is like for the esoteric studies or whatever, you know, these like 5-point things you do. It has a breakdown of how to design your own, including random charts. You can just roll out randomly like what your each level is. So like recommended all 1-point abilities are like, you know, mitigate damage in a certain circumstance, give you +1d in a very specific circumstance, you know, shit like that. And obviously, because it's one roll engine, you know, you can do stuff with like the master and expert dice and other shit like that. But that may actually be something you can take a look at and gander, because it may be that like different levels of gear do different things, you know. Maybe you know, having soft quiet shoes reduces the difficulty penalty for sneaking because it's easier to sneak because you're quieter. But having, you know, big scary stompy steel-toed boots just gives you bonus dice whenever big stompy boots will be good. I don't know. We're high level spitballing here.
Yeah. Like, I gotta think about things. Is that a... Why are you here? Oh, Angel of Death. That's why. Okay.
You were also not in, but near the Dragon Eyrie.
Yeah, I guess some survived.
The Eggies are kind of interesting.
I didn't mean to do that. I forgot I was on Garuda.
It do be like that. Garuda not very good at fighting the Wind Eggies. It does give you a couple of air options. I mean, honestly, Axe saying, you know, stuff that helps you fail forward to prevent suffering. I mean, you said you're, you know, going back and out. Lucky already said earlier his plan is for people to struggle, not suffer, so some of that might be baked into the game and not necessarily need to worry about with gear. But that can always be, like, an option that something might do, you know? Like, it's...
Axe, I'm going to be... Oh, sorry. Please finish what you're saying.
Okay, I'll finish mine. I was just going to say, the concept of gear with a capital G is very open-ended and depends from game to game, and it, you know, depending on how fiddly your rules, it can do a lot of stuff, because you have, you know, some gear is just lets you do a thing. You know, hey, if you don't have a laptop or a portable computer, you can't do computer stuff because you don't have one on you, and they're not very portable. But you can have, you know, preventative things like armor. Armor prevents damage. You know, you might have things that are also like armor for other stuff because, you know, being more, you know, GM facing and difficulty. Like I don't know yet how you're going to do, like, you know, damage numbers for AI stuff. Like, will enemies be set fixed damage if you, like, fail a dodge roll? Will it be, you know, additive based on your failures? Who knows? Mm-hmm. That will probably need some playtesting tuning.
Mm-hmm.
But so there may be situations where, like, it makes sense to make, like you said, you know, armor for other kinds of failure or not.
Like I said, I know
it may just, you know, get in the fit bits.
Like I said, I want to do things with gear, but like I said, I have to figure out how dice rolls are affected by my initial setup here. Because Gear, Axe talks about how he wants to like mitigate failures and stuff. I'm gonna like just say this outright. In general, that's what Gear does. Just in general, Gear makes you better at things and makes it so you don't suck at things. Like that's its purpose. You do not
But mechanically, obviously, the part we're on is like, how would we do that?
Yeah.
Does it reduce difficulty? Does it give you more dice to roll? Those do the same thing mechanically. Increasing your dice pool is literally the same as reducing difficulty, just so everybody's on that same page statistics-wise. Both means that you would roll more dice. The question of how does that feel to the player and what does that mean for the piece of gear, you know? Actually, that's a good question. Most contests you said, Lucky, would not be degrees of failure or success. I mean, there probably will be a crit fail state of some sort, but the general rule is like you're looking for just after you reduce your dice pool down for difficulty, you're just looking for one success normally. And then there will probably be some checks, especially because you have exploding dice. There will be some checks where extra successes matter. I would assume probably damage will end up that way because usually that's how combat systems work.
Maybe I should
more dice, more damage.
Maybe I should go with like degrees of success, not just one success.
I mean, I will say this. Usually, most games that I've read and designed have multiple kinds of dice rolls, right?
Right.
So obviously, you're planning to avoid the kind of like opposed roll problem where the player builds up all their dice and the GM builds up all their dice, and we just try and figure out how it goes, because that can mean that maybe the GM fucks up or shit gets weird or whatever. But there may still be whatever your version of like extended tests are, where you need multiple successes over time, and maybe if you roll really, really good, you just do it in one turn, or maybe you don't. Maybe you only get one success, and you're like, well, you need 3, so you're gonna have to keep at it. So that's when you do check stuff. God, this is putting me in the. I want to play more Final Fantasy 16 after this, but this is also putting me in my own game design brain. I might have to actually take a second and take some notes. But once you like actually sit down and write out what you think your core mechanic is, and I say think because again, I've done this. Like he's been on this ride with like Mages of War and stuff. Like you write it down, but you're gonna, I say this not just as you to Lucky, but you to anybody at the home. You're gonna change that, whether it's because a month from now, a year from now, whatever. You're like, shit, I have a better idea. That happens a lot. Sometimes you're just thinking about stuff and go, wait a fucking minute, why didn't I think of that earlier? But there will also be the very obvious player character playtesting where just people play with the Lego bricks you've got, and you go, yeah. That's better. That's different. So yeah, there's a few little optionalinos out there, but yeah.
So I want to get out there. Like I'm pretty. Yeah, no, I think I will have to do like degrees of success. Every success, like you only need one to succeed, but additional successes must do something because.
I mean, that's a critique we've both had about Genesis, where the game is unfortunately inconsistent about when extra success matters, right?
Yeah. Like, I think that's something, yeah. Because, like, say, like, you have 3 in a scat, 3 in a skill, that gives you 6, and you have, like, a 2 dice bonus from whatever. That gives you a pool of 8. The difficulty of something is let's say 2, so you have 6 dice. You roll 6 dice, you get 3 success. Like that's like half your pool of success is Wait, actually no. Maybe I should make neutral.
Listen, we're thinking thoughts.
No, I rather just have a dice be either good or bad. Like I know like. So I think some systems like usually have like maybe like 2, 3, 4 just do nothing, but I think I want every dice.
You just want failures and success, yeah.
Yeah, I want every dice.
Hypothetically, by the way, I just because again I have a shitload of d6s. I just dug out 6 and rolled them. I got a 2, a 3, 3 4s, funnily enough, and then a 6. So Let me get another die and roll that out again. But we're already at 4 successes, and the last one was a 5. So yeah.
Yeah.
So that would be a really, really good roll, and I can definitely see circumstances where players are going to be like, "Yeah, I rolled so well." Oh, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, no. So I definitely like talking it out. Yeah, no. I need to figure out a degree of success system. Like I'm not.
And obviously, for like very structured rolls, that's going to be easy. Like I said, that's just extra damage. Your weapon or your punch, whatever you do more. For buying and selling things, that will probably mean more profit points.
Mhm.
For healing, that means you remove more damage. Again, depending on how you end up doing damage for NPCs, it could be that like in a defensive situation, you reduce damage as opposed to like outright avoiding damage kind of a thing. But there's definitely going to be times when you're going to be writing some esoteric skills and be like, what the fuck does this mean?
Well, I'm
The
gonna
easiest thing, obviously, is to say it means nothing, but if you commit to the bit, there's definitely something to be made there.
Axe, I've said this before, and I'm gonna say again: stop being afraid of failure. As like, you cannot have something to solve every single one of your problems.
I mean, there could be like maybe that could be like a certain type of gear thing is like you can store successes for later if it matters. There's a lot of weird stuff you can do with dice in games, but like in general, the whole point of having a mechanic is, hey, sometimes in life you just fail. I would assume, like most game designers, Lucky, you're going to want to include the note and have that point where, like, hey, if nothing interesting will happen, whether you succeed or fail on this roll, don't roll dice, because that's kind of a thing that, like, it took game design a while to come to, but almost every game that is, published or revised these days includes a note that's like, hey, don't roll dice for no reason. Like, there needs to be a meaningful failure state and victory state. Like,
well, again, Axe, we've talked about this. This is a fucking you problem. And also, you had shitty GMs. Axe, do you think I am a shitty GM that is going to cause you suffering just because I get a kick out of it? When I literally explained what my philosophy is, like, not even a half hour ago. I want you to answer this.
Axe said he's been stepping in and out, so... The way he said something earlier made me think he didn't hear your specific line.
Well, I will repeat it again. Like, my design philosophy is I want players to struggle, not suffer. No one likes suffering.
Well,
okay, that's a lie. There are people who like other suffering, but not me.
We don't like those games. There are people who play masochist games, and we don't necessarily like them.
No. I
mean, Power by the Apocalypse it kind of has some failure spiral stuff, but like generally some of that's just bad luck. The way Power by the Apocalypse is designed is statistically you're supposed to hit in that 7 zone. You're supposed to get partial hits. It's literally 2d6. It's the craps rules. You're supposed to make a 7. That's just statistically the most likely number. And I'm always bamboozled when you guys play Power by the Apocalypse, and like even when you're not that crazy high in stats, it's just like 12, 12, 10, 12. I'm like, well, shit, you do really good.
Actually, I think my most common, I think, is 9 and 10. I think
those are pretty solid because that's like if you have a +2 or +3, those are obviously the most.
No, like that's how I remember. That's how I built Claymore, so I can stuff as much shit into meat and synth as I could, which means I usually got a +2 to things. And yeah, if I usually like roll like an 8 or 7, yeah, that puts me at the. I
mean, I don't think red markets necessarily makes you suffer if you don't have everything covered. There's plenty of opportunity. Red markets is a game of adjustable suffering levels. If you really want to play the quote-unquote poverty simulator, there are optional rules to ramp stuff up so that you can have that experience, whether that's, you are a masochist or you're trying to, have that profound moment and tell that story, or just, whatever reason you want to, push the mechanics to as hard as they go. But like the actual circumstance, the way, I mean, the actual guiding principle of red markets is very simple. It's risk equals reward. Technically speaking, you guys could live forever and probably just do, odd jobs around your enclave to make your breakpoint, right?
Mm-hmm.
To make survival and just, keep your dependents fed and shit. But that means that you're going to be living and working out in the forever. So you need to retire. So you need to get extra money. And the more money you want, the tougher it has to be. You guys usually want lots of things that are big. So you have to get some risk involved.
Care Norvent Westgate. It was the Westgate. Wasn't I at the Westgate?
Was you at the Westgate? Probably not, because the marks have a little cutscene when you get close to them, but a little bit of work. I mean,
I don't know what that means, Axe. I'm gonna be here ripped away from you, and you have no ability to do that. When has that happened in any of our games?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Axe plays lots of games. Axe probably plays too many games. He likes playing games, and he plays them too much. Even though I also like games, and it's like I don't have enough time to play all these games. But also I think you attach too much to specific people playing games. I like actual plays as a learning tool, but I mean, technically, I guess that's in the east, and that's back to the world map.
Orabelle Downs, that's Lost Swing, Northreach. What? Nope.
But like, even in Powered by the Apocalypse, that is not how GM moves work. Well, yeah, you. That's another thing. You judge way too much on hypotheticals, not personal experience. But like
Axe, I could fucking use Porter and kill Leona at any fucking given moment. Keep that in mind. Like, am I gonna do that? Is that fucking likely? No. Stop basing things on hypotheticals. It's dumb.
I mean, I don't actually know how. Actually killing characters is a little weird and tough.
Well, in Shinsekai, yes, but I can probably take Leona under.
I mean, no. If we turn this into a battle royale, I think, with the exception of Mortis, just because he has so many wounds and soak, I think everybody could take out everybody else really fast. Like but that's a numbers math thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, like, I don't know. It's like I said, Axe. This is another. You have weird anxiety baggage about stuff, but like, generally most games don't work on like a true badness only. And if they do, you should understand them. I've run Delta Green for you guys. I've run Call of Cthulhu in the past. Those games are designed with the idea that the fiction they're based on usually ends with everybody like going crazy or killing themselves or being eaten alive by horrible monsters or ending up in an I have no mouth and I'm a scream situation. So those games are played and written on the understanding like, hey, some fucked up shit might happen to you. If you're not okay with that, you should not be playing this game. If you don't want to accidentally see the King in Yellow and like get catapulted into the Pleistocene era, or get turned into a trilobite who's also super intelligent and evil, don't do that. I mean, yeah, I think some. Now we want to talk about like some game design cones. I think previous editions of Call of Cthulhu have not been bad about letting players actually run away, but that's a different thing. There's some weird back and forth there about what's.
Oh, it must be the River Gate. That's probably the West Gate.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that would be on the west side. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Gotta go to Lost Wing.
You got to go down the noodle time.
Loth.
Yeah, no, Loth had a zinger there that I'm not going to acknowledge, but I do like Loth's comment about Deadlands. Deadlands is a very 90s game, and is absolutely like, hey, maybe you should have a backup character just in case. That's, well, you've played in games like that, Lucky. I don't think you're aiming for that with Red Mist, but I don't usually like that status in games. I've been that guy. I remember Ron running, Pathfinder for some of us, and he was like, all right, I've played tests of this. You're going to need 3 character sheets just in case. And I'm like, okay. Makes it real hard to do role-playing and keep everybody invested when you're like, I have 3 things. Not that I was, like, hurting for 3 concepts to make, but it's just like, damn. That's rough.
No, but the concept is... The basis of Red Mist here is... Maybe I shouldn't call it Red Mist, because that just made me think of Red Markets.
Probably what you thought of it first. You can think of something.
I'll think of something, but
We'll do some work.
The intent is to make a zombie survival game where there's a focus on logistics and gear. So stuff is going to help you, and stuff is going to do things, and stuff will help you be better at what you want to do. But the only way that matters if there is a chance that you can fuck up and will fuck up. If you do not fuck up, then you might as well just be reading a story about how someone is just great at everything. And last I checked, people don't actually like those stories when one dude is just amazing at everything. They like, what do they like to call them? You know, like Gary Stews and stuff?
Yeah.
So no, there has to be failure, and there cannot be ways to just eliminate failure. If you fail sometimes, oh well. If you die because of your failures, oh well too.
I mean, there are some pure power fantasy isekai novels, but generally the critical reception to those is poor.
Yeah.
There's usually criticism. Listen, you both saved 959. It's all together there. Axe also miswrote the game's name as Scarlet Mist, and I'm like, that is different, but also that gives me a slightly different feel. Like, Red Mist is a little close to Red Markets. Both have the same acronym, but it still has the point. Scarlet Mist is like, I'm like, we're very close to like a Bodice Ripper airport novel type.
Sounds all right, yeah.
Not quite the right feel.
Well, I'm not entirely sure, like, how dark... Fuck, I just want to call it Scarlet Mist now.
Hey, go for it. Whatever. It's your game. If you like it better as a different...
I don't know.
Listen, trust me. I am a master of synonyms. There's a bunch of different words for red you can come up with depending on how fucking, bombastic you want to be.
Oh, I'm trying to think of some of the synonyms for red I know.
Vermilion, cerise,
Cinnabar.
Cinnabar Mist sounds like a fucking coffee shop.
It does.
Okay, yeah, that's really going out there with synonyms, Axe. But yeah, no, Cinnabar Mist is like, yeah, yo, can I get a jumbo Cinnabar Mist with a donut?
I forgot what I was gonna
By the way,
say.
coffee better be an item in your game.
It will be.
I will need to consume it constantly.
I forgot what I was gonna say before I got stuck on the fucking color.
It's okay. We're like that.
Let's see. I was talking about failure is okay. Don't be afraid of failure. If you die, oh well. Then after that, where was I going? Let me look at the chat. Maybe it'd be something like that. Oh, he was talking about Silent Hill.
Psychological horror stuff.
Yeah. I am planning on having a stress track for mental burdens and traumas and whatnot. It's not going to be like the in-depth, you have 3 separate ones and stuff, and you roll on things. There's just going to be one, and I'm going to try and make a system so that it is not hard to recover it, I guess I want to say. Like, I do definitely want to have that system of having mental stress and whatnot in the game, because I do actually like that you have to actually be aware of your mental state as well. I haven't really necessarily fleshed that bit out yet, because I've been trying to hammer down how I want my mechanics to work before I start adding every single fucking system I want into it. But there will be some sort of mental state, and I have been wondering how much of weird zombie shit I want to put in the game. Because there's a lot of types of zombies out here. Like we got like the full weird stuff from like Silent Hill, Resident Evil. Then we have like our 28 Days Later and the Walking Dead kind of stuff. And then we just we have our general generic Shamblers kind of stuff. And I'm not sure what's the level I want, because I do.
I know a lot of your. I think your decision to actually fully go hog and make your own, as I showed you all flesh, as well. You can do other zombie stuff, and you were like, "This is not what I'm looking for," but there's stuff here, and all flesh must be eaten is a truly universal zombie RPG, because it has guidelines for like, hey, you want to do fucking anything?
So I definitely do think I want to do. Oh, I think I found it. Hello.
Sci-fi zombies.
Caw.
Scree.
You came to the wrong castle, motherfucker. That's what those mayor is saying to me right now. Oof. Big oof. But I do think I am personally probably kind of in favor of having weird-ass variants, but I don't want them to be something that you run in every day. Those are like mini boss encounters and whatnot. Because I'm probably going to do the same kind of thing that Red Market does about no one knows why we have zombies now and no one can figure out why they just kind of exist. Because I think trying to explain things too hard gets people worked up about weird things and stuff. So it's just one of those things of like, it just is, and it's not that important.
Yeah, this is how I was doing backstory writing for Shadow Wizard game. Was like, okay, so Magic users have a theory for how the world works, but sometimes they have contradictory theories. It doesn't actually matter. Here's the parts that matter: is the actual mechanics. The what's real and what's not is like fucking, I don't know. This is a philosophical question. Solve it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the lessons mechanically I learned, like structurally, from Eclipse Phase that I've taken to heart, which is just you can write GM secrets that are just like, hey GM, pick one of these. We, the person writing these books, don't know what the fuck is going on. You figure out what works for you. And I'm just like, oh my god, you can do that? I admit, I was like, 15 or 16 when I first read an Eclipse Phase book. But yeah, no, it was like, no, that's brilliant. I love that. I love just being like, yeah, I'm writing this open-ended because I don't know what the fuck the answer is. So you come up with whatever makes it most interesting to you. Obviously, as the writer, I have, I think, my preferred angle, but still, it's like, yeah, no, it's just like, stuff just works. They're zombies, okay?
Yeah, and then, so
you
yeah,
I
I
don't need
probably...
to philosophically ponder why zombies. Just know, is zombie. Oh yeah, Locke, you've never played One Roll Engine, have you? It's okay. It's very simple. You roll d10s and you look for matching numbers.
Sorry, slapping.
Yeah. Getting his grip go.
I like that when you actually spin the staff, that actually counts as hits.
Yes.
It's just the little things.
Yeah, because it's technically a ranged attack, but it does have a melee element, which I like for doing stagger and stuff. Stagger's really great. I mean, magic is in there. I would assume you guys would allow magic to exist in the setting, but yeah, that's probable. And that means that there can be different kinds of magic. Maybe there's some weird magic from down south. Maybe there's some weird north magic. Yes, the final form, you do get your glide spinnies. Because you know what Sora needed? He needed his fucking his Keyblades to turn into fin funnels. God, sorry, I'm just imagining. I mean, we'll see how crazy Armored Core goes in like a month and a half, 2-ish months, something like that, in August. But like, I'm just imagining, a faster paced action RPG like this.
I don't know if it'll necessarily be faster paced. I think it'll still be as frantic.
True.
Oh.
But yeah, like. But I'm just definitely thinking, like, I just thought of, like, what if a Gundam game, but, KH2 engine? Shit, he's making his own tornadoes.
I slapped him with my own wing.
Nice. But yeah, no, I mentioned it before, but like the main thing is you're all gonna be, part of a noble household, and I'm gonna assume that you're all gonna be close and reasonably like each other and want to go to bat for each other. Again, whether that's like you have the most based dad ever who taught you how to be all good little boys and be brothers and whatever, even if you're not literally brothers. Or like maybe your dad is so crap that you all band together to get over how bad your dad is. I don't know. This is a discussion for role playing and conversations, you know.
Mhm.
I mean, we'll figure that out, X. I don't know when we're gonna do this. Like I said, I think we're taking a break from Red Markets, but we're still going on Jinsekai for a while, so this would require some sitting down and some session zeroing.
That griffin caught me before I could get an arrow off.
Anyway, you found the Leatherman.
Not so lowly. You remember
It's like,
selling-
Bought a caress from me after I lost my buyer. Didn't stop a bot.
It's not her.
But hopefully, like maybe in the coming weeks, I'll talk more about the game and where it's going and how it's shaping up. Like I said, I'm not like a mega who can just type date pages for days. Unfortunately, but hopefully I will get along and maybe we can see about getting some people in to get me to do some test some combat encounters to see how mechanics work. Like, I'm probably not going to be having any, like, campaign plays set for a while, but I'll probably definitely want some people to be like, all right, I'm going to give you this character. I need you to roll dice, and we need to see. I want to see what you do with them.
play testing.
But I think that's enough from me on Game Magazine.
All right. Well, we've crossed 3 hours,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to hide it, but I am yawning a little.
Yeah.
Getting later. I'm feeling better today than I did yesterday, but I am still kind of like gumped in the dumps.
In that case, I'll see that he gets it.
I'd be much obliged if
I mean, that's very specific, but I don't think anything you said in that sentence is technically wrong.
Will do. And thank you.
I mean, I should hope you don't have to pitch the game as a joke, but not incorrect anyway.
Hopefully this will sweeten blood.
But yeah, we could probably wrap her dapper up.
Yeah, let's wrap her dapper up.
If you're looking for the Let's Talk FGO, it'll come out after this.
Hello.
It really shouldn't have because it edited down to like 3 hours. I like literally with noise removal and silence compression cut down like 35 minutes of that thing. It still did not finish rendering until like I think 9 a.m. this morning, judging by the timestamps and stuff. I have no earthly idea why, but sometimes it's like that. Sometimes my computer decides to be fast. Sometimes it is slow. So that'll be out, around midnight-ish probably. So, wrap up. Hey, if you're watching this video, like it. Like, comment, subscribe. You can also join our Discord if you're concerned about Twitter exploding. I think it's fine now. They've unfuckled their duckle, but it was exploding for a while. So you can always, reach us at our Discord community or on our YouTube community page. Speaking of our YouTube community page, consider joining our channel memberships for membership badges and emotes. They're cool. You can also support us on Patreon, get access to Patreon stuff, audios, early videos, other things. So check those out. And yeah, that's all stuff I got.
All right, well, let's get on out of here. Have a good evening, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Good night.